The screenshot of my sister's text message glowed on my phone screen as I stood at Miami's cruise terminal, watching the celestial seas tower above the dock like a floating city. Sorry, Melanie, we had to remove you from the cruise list. It's $8,000 per person and we know things have been tight since your divorce. Maybe next year when you can afford it. I'd received it 3 days ago, after months of planning what was supposed to be our grandmother's 80th birthday celebration. The entire Morrison family, all 43 of them, would be sailing to the Caribbean for a week of luxury and family bonding. Everyone except me, apparently. Ma'am, you'll need to move along if you're not boarding, a port security officer said politely. I smiled, adjusting my simple sundress and worn canvas bag. I'm boarding, just taking it all in. He glanced at my outfit skeptically. The other passengers streaming past wore designer resort wear and wheeled Louis Vuitton luggage. I probably looked like I'd gotten lost on my way to the dollar store. My phone buzzed. Another family group text. This time from my brother Kevin. Boarding now. Presidential suite deck is insane. Sorry you couldn't make it, Mel. We'll send pics. The irony wasn't lost on me. While they thought I was struggling to make ends meet after my divorce from Richard, I'd actually spent the last 3 years building something none of them could imagine. But when you're the youngest of 5 siblings, and the only one who didn't follow the traditional Morrison path of country clubs and corporate climbing, certain assumptions get made. Ticket and identification, please, the check-in agent requested as I approached the counter. I handed over my documents, watching her eyes widen slightly as she scanned them into the system. Oh, Ms. Morrison, I apologize. We weren't expecting, welcome aboard. She fumbled slightly, then recovered with professional grace. Would you prefer to board through the priority entrance? This is fine, I assured her. I like to see how most passengers experience the ship. She nodded, still looking flustered as she handed back my papers. Enjoy your cruise, Ms. Morrison. The crew has been notified of your arrival. I made my way up the gangway, joining the stream of excited passengers. Through the floor-to-ceiling windows, I could see my family already gathered on the Lido deck, champagne glasses in hand. My mother, dressed in her favorite St. John suit, was holding court near the pool. My sisters, Patricia and Jennifer, were taking selfies by the railing. Their husbands stood nearby, probably discussing their golf handicaps. Melanie? I turned to find my cousin Sarah staring at me, her mouth slightly open. What are you? How did you? Hi, Sarah. I gave her a quick hug. Beautiful day for a cruise, isn't it? But Patricia said you couldn't afford. She caught herself, face reddening. What a wonderful surprise. Everyone will be so happy to see you. I doubted that, but I kept my smile in place. Where is everyone gathering? The Lido deck. Patricia reserved a private section. You know how she is about these things. Sarah glanced at my outfit again. Do you have time to change first? I might have something you could borrow. I'm comfortable, thanks, I said, following her to the elevator. As we rode up, Sarah filled the silence with nervous chatter about the suite upgrades, the planned excursions, and how much everything cost. Kevin's suite alone is $15,000. Can you imagine? Though I suppose it's worth it for Grandma's birthday. The elevator opened onto the Lido deck, and I could see my family's private section, a roped-off area with the best views and dedicated waitstaff. Patricia spotted me first, nearly dropping her mimosa. Melanie? She hurried over, her voice pitched high with false enthusiasm. What are you doing here? I thought, we discussed. You discussed, I corrected gently. You decided I couldn't afford it and uninvited me. Jennifer joined us, her expression cycling between shock and annoyance. How did you even get on board? This ship is completely sold out. I had a ticket, I said simply. Security, Patricia called to a nearby crew member. This person doesn't belong in our private area. The young man approached, looking uncomfortable. Is there a problem, ma'am? My sister isn't part of our group reservation, Patricia explained with exaggerated patience. She needs to be escorted to wherever her cabin is. What deck are you on, Melanie? 7, 8? Before I could answer, a crisp voice cut through the conversation. Ms. Morrison. Captain Andreas Volkov strode across the deck, his white uniform immaculate, his bearing military straight. The entire pool area seemed to pause as he approached our group. He stopped directly in front of me and saluted sharply. Admiral Morrison, welcome aboard your ship. It's an honor to have you sailing with us. The silence that followed was absolute. Even the splash of the pool seemed to pause. Patricia's mimosa glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the deck. Jennifer's mouth opened and closed like a fish gasping for air. Kevin, who had just arrived with our brothers Michael and David, stopped mid-step. "I'm sorry," Patricia's voice was barely a whisper. "Did you just say her ship?" Captain Volkov maintained his professional bearing, though I caught a glimmer of satisfaction in his eyes. "The Celestial Seas is flagship of the Morrison Cruise Line fleet. Ms. Morrison acquired the entire company 18 months ago." "Fleet?" Michael echoed faintly. 12 ships currently, I offered helpfully. 13 once the Celestial Dreams launches next spring." My mother pushed through the crowd, her face pale beneath her perfect makeup. "Melanie, what is he talking about?" I accepted a glass of champagne from a server who appeared at my elbow. "It's a bit of a long story. Should we sit?" "The Constellation deck would be more comfortable for this conversation," Captain Volkov suggested. "It's been prepared for your arrival, Admiral." "Admiral?" David finally found his voice. "Why does he keep calling you Admiral?" "Maritime tradition," I explained as we moved toward the elevator. "The owner of a shipping line holds the honorary rank of Admiral, though I also served 6 years in the Navy after college, so the title has dual meaning." "You were in the Navy?" Jennifer sputtered. "You said you were traveling." "I was, on naval vessels." The elevator opened onto the Constellation deck, the ship's most exclusive level. My family filed in behind me, stunned into silence. The Constellation deck was magnificent, a private oasis with panoramic views, infinity pools, and a personal staff. It was also completely off-limits to regular passengers, even those in the most expensive suites. "This entire deck," Kevin started, "is the owner's quarters," I confirmed, settling into a plush chair. "Though I usually stay in a regular cabin when I sail, I prefer to experience what our passengers do." "Our passengers?" Patricia's voice cracked. Captain Volkov excused himself after ensuring we had everything we needed. I waited until everyone was seated, or in Patricia's case, collapsed, before continuing. 3 years ago, after my divorce, you all assumed I was broke. Richard got the house, the cars, the visible assets. What you didn't know was that I got something much more valuable, my freedom and a settlement that included his shares in a struggling cruise company." I sipped my champagne, remembering those early days. Everyone thought Richard was brilliant for dumping worthless cruise shares on me. The industry was failing, ships were being scrapped, and Morrison Maritime was 6 months from bankruptcy. "Morrison Maritime," my mother repeated slowly. "That was Grandfather Morrison's company, the one that went under in the 90s. The one everyone said was a money pit." I nodded. Richard's family had acquired it for pennies during the liquidation, hoping to strip the assets, but I saw potential. Jennifer leaned forward. "But how?" "The cruise industry was dying, everyone said." "Everyone said a lot of things," I interrupted gently. "They said I was crazy for taking the shares instead of cash. They said I was delusional for thinking I could revive a dead company. They said I should just sell whatever was left and get a real job." My brother Michael, the investment banker, was doing calculations on his phone. "Morrison Cruise Line's current valuation is, oh my god." "The first year was rough," I admitted. "I liquidated everything I had left, convinced a few investors to take a chance, and bought our first ship, an old vessel everyone said was ready for scrap. We retrofitted it, renamed it Celestial Seas, and started with 3-day budget cruises." "This is the same ship?" Kevin looked around in amazement. "The same hull, completely reimagined. We positioned ourselves as affordable luxury, high-end experience at accessible prices. Within 6 months, we were booked solid. We used the profits to buy the second ship, then the third." "But why didn't you tell us?" My mother's voice was small, hurt. I met her eyes. "When would I have told you? When Patricia uninvited me from her anniversary party because I couldn't afford the country club minimum? When Jennifer suggested I sell my engagement ring to cover rent? When Kevin offered to loan me money but only if I agreed to work as his receptionist?" Each sibling flinched as I listed their moments. "Or maybe," I continued, "when you all decided I was too poor for Grandma's birthday cruise? When Patricia texted to uninvite me because $8,000 was too much for someone in my situation?" "We were trying to be considerate," Patricia protested weakly. "You were trying to hide me," I corrected. "The poor sister who made bad choices, the embarrassment who couldn't keep her rich husband, the failure who wouldn't accept her place." Silence stretched across the deck. In the distance, passengers laughed and splashed in the public pools, unaware of the family drama playing out above them. "The Fortune article," David said suddenly, 6 months ago, about the mysterious woman who revived Morrison Maritime. That was you?" "They wanted to do a cover story." I shrugged. I declined. I had a company to run. Sarah, who had been silent until now, started laughing. It began as a giggle and grew into full-bodied laughter. "Oh my God," she gasped. "Patricia, remember last month? At the club? You were bragging about spending $8,000 on this cruise. And you literally said, what was it?" Poor Melanie could never understand this lifestyle. Patricia's face flushed deep red. "And Jennifer," Sarah continued, wiping tears from her eyes, "you told everyone Melanie was probably working at a grocery store." "I never said grocery store," Jennifer protested. "I said retail." "Actually," I interjected, "I do work in retail, maritime retail. We have gift shops on all 12 ships." My phone buzzed. Another family group text. This time from a cousin who hadn't made the trip. "Send pics of the presidential suites. Dying to see how the other half lives." I held up my phone. Should I tell them the other half owns the whole ship? "This is vindictive," Patricia snapped, finding her voice again. "You let us make fools of ourselves." "I let you show your true colors," I replied calmly. "Every assumption you made, every cruel comment, every time you excluded me, that was your choice. I just didn't correct you." "What do you want?" Kevin asked. "An apology? Groveling?" "I want nothing." I stood, smoothing my simple sundress. "I have everything I need. A successful company, a purpose, and the knowledge that I built it all without your approval or your help." Captain Volkov reappeared. "Admiral, your grandmother has arrived. Should I escort her to your quarters?" "Grandma's here?" I smiled, the first genuine warmth I'd felt all day. "Yes, please, and Captain, please ensure she has everything she needs for her birthday celebration." "Of course, the crew has been preparing for weeks. The fireworks alone." "Fireworks?" my mother interrupted. "A little birthday surprise," I said. "Grandma always loved fireworks." As the captain left, my family sat in stunned silence. Below us, the ship's horn sounded, signaling our departure from port. "So what now?" Michael asked. Should we leave?" "Why would you leave?" I asked, genuinely puzzled. "You're my family, you have your suites, your excursions, your whole planned week. Nothing's changed." "Everything's changed," Patricia whispered. "No," I corrected, "everything's been revealed. There's a difference." I moved toward the elevator. "Enjoy your cruise. The Constellation deck is available to you whenever you'd like. The staff has been instructed to provide anything you need." "Where are you going?" Jennifer called after me. "To see Grandma. She's the only one who never assumed I was a failure. She always said, 'Still waters run deep.' Melanie, let them underestimate you. It makes the victory sweeter." As the elevator doors closed, I heard Kevin say, "We uninvited her from her own ship. We uninvited her from her own ship." The rest of the cruise was an interesting study in family dynamics. My siblings alternated between trying to apologize and trying to pretend nothing had happened. Patricia suddenly remembered how she'd always believed in me. Jennifer discovered we'd always been best friends. Kevin insisted he'd been joking about the receptionist job. But it was Grandma who put it all in perspective. As we watched the sunset from my private deck, she patted my hand and said, "You know what the difference is between you and them, dear?" "What's that, Grandma?" "They inherited their worth, you built yours, and that, my darling girl, is why you'll always sail while they just float." The ship cut through calm waters toward the setting sun, carrying 43 members of the Morrison family, but for the first time in my life, I wasn't just along for the ride. I was charting the course.
The conference room felt like a prison cell as I watched 15 years of dedication crumble in front of me. My father's face had turned that particular shade of red I'd grown to dread, while my mother wrung her hands in her lap, avoiding eye contact. I'm Lexi, and until today, I was the creative director of Burke Eco Solutions, our family's sustainability company. The same company I'd given up art school for. The same company I'd poured my heart and soul into since I was 19. "These reports are fabricated," I said, spreading the documents across the polished table. "Landon's been cutting corners with our suppliers. We're using non-biodegradable materials and marketing them as eco-friendly." My younger brother lounged in his chair, a smirk playing at the corners of his mouth. "You've always been jealous of my success, sis, just because you can't handle modern business practices." "Modern business practices?" I shot back. "You mean fraud? That's enough." My father's fist came down hard on the table, making the water glasses rattle. "Lexi, these accusations are ridiculous. Landon has increased our profits by 40% since taking over operations. By lying to our customers, everything we built this company on." Times change, my mother interrupted softly. We need to adapt. I pulled up the company website on my tablet, hands shaking. Look at this. 100% sustainable materials. That's a lie. We're no better than the companies we used to criticize. Landon rolled his eyes. God, you're so dramatic. This is business, not your little art projects. The mention of art stung more than it should have. I'd wanted to go to art school since I was 12, but when the family business needed help, I'd put those dreams aside. Now here I was, watching my brother destroy everything we'd built. Dad, I pleaded, remember what you always said. Integrity first, profit second. That was before we nearly went bankrupt, he replied coldly. Landon saved us, by turning us into exactly what we fought against. I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. I have proof, real proof. If this gets out... It won't get out, Landon cut in, his voice dangerous, because you're fired. The room went silent. I looked at my father, waiting for him to object, to defend me, to remember all the nights I'd stayed late helping him with paperwork, all the weekends I'd sacrificed. Instead, he nodded. It's for the best, Lexi. You're clearly not aligned with our new direction. New direction? I laughed, but it came out more like a sob. You mean selling out everything we believed in? My mother finally looked up. Please, sweetie, don't make this harder than it needs to be. I'm trying to save our company, I was shouting now, tears burning in my eyes. Our reputation, our legacy. Security will escort you out, Landon said, already typing on his phone. Clear your desk by 5. I looked at each of them. My mother's averted gaze, my father's stern disappointment, Landon's satisfied smirk. 15 years of loyalty, reduced to this moment. You're making a mistake, I said, gathering my things. When this comes out, and it will come out, you'll lose everything. My father stood, his voice ice cold. Get out, Lexi. You're not our daughter anymore. The words hit like a physical blow. I straightened my spine, years of suppressed anger finally breaking free. Fine, but remember this moment, Dad. Remember it when it all falls apart. I walked out of that conference room with my head high, past the shocked faces of employees I'd worked with for years. In my office, I didn't bother taking much. Just my personal photos, my sketchbook, and a small potted succulent Riley had given me last Christmas. As security watched me leave, I heard Landon's voice behind me. Don't forget to turn in your keycard, sis. I turned around one last time, meeting his eyes. You know what, Landon? Keep it. You'll need a reminder of how things used to be when this house of cards collapses. The glass doors closed behind me with a final click. Standing on the sidewalk, clutching my sad little box of belongings, I should have felt defeated. Instead, I felt something else stirring. Determination, maybe. Or revenge. My phone buzzed. A text from Riley. Heard what happened. Meet me at Cafe Luna in 20. Think I might have an interesting proposition for you. I smiled, wiping away the last of my tears. They thought they were ending my story, but maybe they were just giving me the push I needed to start a new one. And this time, I'd write it my way. Cafe Luna was packed with the usual afternoon crowd, but I spotted Riley immediately. She always stood out with her signature red blazer and no-nonsense posture, a remnant from her corporate days. As I approached, she pushed a steaming mug across the table. Ordered your usual, double-shot oat milk latte, extra hot. You're a lifesaver, I said, sinking into the chair, though I could use something stronger. Already ahead of you. She pulled out a small flask and discreetly added a splash to both our coffees. Getting fired by your own family deserves at least an Irish coffee. I took a long sip, letting the warmth spread through my chest. How did you hear so fast? Your brother's already bragging about it on LinkedIn. Exciting changes in upper management or some corporate BS like that. Of course he is. I gripped the mug tighter. 15 years, Riley. 15 years of my life, and they threw me away like yesterday's recycling. Their loss? Riley leaned forward, her eyes sparking with that look I knew meant trouble. But maybe it's your gain. Remember Noel Jenkins? The guy who created that solar-powered water filtration system. The very same. He's looking for partners for a new venture. Sustainable products, but with a focus on design and artistry. The minute I heard what happened, I called him. My heart skipped. Riley, I can't. Yes, you can. She pulled out her tablet, sliding it across the table. Look at this proposal. They need someone who understands both sustainability and aesthetics. Someone who can make eco-friendly products beautiful. I scrolled through the documents, my artist's eye catching on the preliminary designs. They were good, but they could be better. My fingers itched to sketch improvements. There's more, Riley said, watching my reaction. Someone wants to meet you, someone big. Who? Angelina Tran. I nearly choked on my coffee. The Angelina Tran, widow of... The same. She's been following your work at Burke for years. Says you're the only one who stayed true to the original vision. But she never meets with anyone. Not since her husband. She'll meet with you. Tomorrow morning, her estate. Riley's phone buzzed. That's Noel now. He can meet us for dinner tonight if you're free. My head was spinning. 24 hours ago, I thought my career was over. Now, what if I'm not ready? I whispered. What if... Stop. Riley reached across the table, gripping my hand. Remember when I got pushed out of Global Green? You told me something I never forgot. Sometimes being pushed off a cliff teaches you that you had wings all along. I laughed despite myself. That sounds more profound than anything I'd say. Well, you were drunk at the time, she grinned. But you were right. Look at me now, consulting for the top eco-firms in the country, making triple what I did before. Sometimes the worst thing that happens to you is exactly what needs to happen. My phone lit up with a text. My mother. Please reconsider. We can work this out as a family. I turned the phone face down without responding. You know, Riley said, watching me, the best revenge isn't destroying your enemies. It's succeeding so spectacularly, they have to watch from the sidelines. I don't want revenge, I said automatically, then paused. Okay, maybe a little revenge. That's my girl. Riley stood, gathering her things. Dinner with Noel at 7 Pines at 7. Wear something that says future CEO who's going to change the world. I don't have anything that says that. Yes, you do. That black dress you wore to the Sustainability Awards last year, the one that made your brother's girlfriend jealous. I smiled, remembering. You're right, I do still have that. Perfect. Riley headed for the door, then turned back. Oh, and Lexi. One more thing. Angelina specifically mentioned your art background. Bring your portfolio tomorrow. My portfolio? But I haven't drawn anything in years. Might want to fix that before morning. She winked. Sometimes the dreams we give up come back around when we're ready for them. After she left, I sat there for a long moment, staring at my reflection in the cafe window. The woman looking back at me didn't look defeated anymore. She looked ready. I pulled out my old sketchbook from the box of office belongings and opened to a fresh page. My hand remembered the motions, even after all these years, as I began to sketch what could be beautiful, sustainable products that didn't compromise either aesthetics or ethics. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Landon. Hope you're not bitter about today. Business is business. I didn't respond. Instead, I kept sketching, each stroke of the pencil feeling like a step forward on a new path. My path. Tomorrow couldn't come soon enough. Angelina Tran's estate loomed before me, a modernist masterpiece of glass and sustainable bamboo. The security guard checked my ID twice before letting me through the gates, his expression suggesting visitors were rare here. An elderly housekeeper led me through a maze of corridors filled with contemporary art. She stopped at a sunlit conservatory, where a small woman in her 60s sat surrounded by exotic plants, sketching in a leather-bound notebook. Mrs. Tran, the housekeeper announced, Miss Lexi is here. Angelina looked up, her dark eyes sharp and assessing. Right on time. I appreciate punctuality. She gestured to the chair across from her. Sit, tea. Yes, thank you. I perched on the edge of the seat, clutching my portfolio. Green tea, Margaret, Angelina called out, and those almond cookies I like. Once we were alone, she set aside her notebook. So, you finally left Burke. I didn't exactly. You were pushed out, I know. I've been watching your family's company destroy itself for months now. She leaned forward. Show me your portfolio. I handed it over, my hands trembling slightly. She flipped through it slowly, her expression unreadable. These designs, she said, pointing to my newest sketches from last night. When did you do these? Yesterday, after everything happened. Interesting. She turned another page. You know, your father came to me 15 years ago, begging for investment money. This was news to me. He never mentioned, of course not. I turned him down. She smiled thinly. My husband had just died, and everyone thought I would sell our company. Instead, I transformed it into something better, something true to our original vision. I remember, you were the first major corporation to go completely carbon neutral. Yes, and it cost us nearly everything. She closed my portfolio. Your brother's changes at Burke, they're exactly what my competitors tried to pressure me into. Cutting corners, greenwashing, putting profit over planet. The housekeeper returned with tea and cookies. Angelina waited until she left before continuing. Last night, you had dinner with Noel Jenkins. How did you... I know everything that happens in this industry, dear. What did you think of him? I thought about our dinner conversation, how Noel's eyes had lit up when I showed him my designs. He's brilliant, passionate, but he needs help with the aesthetic side of things. Yes, Angelina sipped her tea. And you need help with the business side. That's why I called you here. She stood walking to a wall of windows overlooking her magnificent gardens. I'm going to tell you something I've never told anyone. The day my husband died, he left me a letter. He said, don't let them turn our dream into their profit. I've spent 20 years honoring that promise. She turned back to me. Now I'm ready to do more. I want to mentor you, Lexi. I nearly dropped my teacup. Me? You have what I had back then, fire, principle. And now, you have nothing left to lose. She smiled. That makes you dangerous. I don't want to be dangerous. I just want to create something meaningful. The two aren't mutually exclusive. She returned to her seat. Your dinner with Noel went well. Riley's on board. Now you need capital, connections, and knowledge. I can provide all three. My heart was racing. Why me? Because you remind me of myself. And because... She hesitated. Your father didn't just ask me for money 15 years ago. He tried to steal my husband's patents while we were still grieving. Did you know that? I felt sick. No, of course not. You were too busy sacrificing everything to save his company. Her voice softened. Sometimes karma needs a little help, don't you think? I set down my teacup. What exactly are you proposing? I'll invest in your venture with Noel, teach you everything I know, open every door. Her eyes glittered. In return, you'll build something so revolutionary, so successful, that Burke Eco Solutions becomes irrelevant. You want me to destroy my family's company? No, dear. I want you to build something better. They'll destroy themselves. She pushed a folder across the table. Here's my offer. Take it home. Read it carefully. I stood on shaky legs, clutching the folder. I'll think about it. Don't think too long. Opportunities like this are like butterflies. Beautiful but fleeting. She walked me to the door. Oh, and Lexi, check page 6 of that folder. I think you'll find the information about your brother's overseas suppliers particularly interesting. As I drove home, my mind was spinning. The folder sat heavy in my bag, full of promises and secrets. My phone buzzed, a text from my mother. Your father's blood pressure is through the roof. How could you do this to us? I pulled over, took out the folder, and turned to page 6. What I read made my decision for me. Sometimes karma does need a little help. 3 months flew by in a whirlwind of meetings, designs, and late-night planning sessions. Our new company, Eden Essence, had taken over the entire top floor of a renovated warehouse. I stood at the window, watching the sunrise paint the sky pink, when Riley burst through the door. "They're here, the first prototype samples." Noel followed behind her, carrying a large box. Hot off the sustainable bamboo production line. My hands shook as I lifted the lid. Inside lay our first product line, a collection of home goods that looked more like art pieces than eco-friendly alternatives. I picked up a water pitcher, running my fingers over the organic curves I'd sketched months ago. "It's perfect," I breathed. "The bamboo glass fusion actually worked, and it's 100% traceable," Noel added, pulling up specs on his tablet. "Every component, every worker, every step of production, completely transparent and ethical." Riley was already snapping photos. "The pre-orders are going to go crazy when people see these. We've got lifestyle influencers lined up, sustainable living bloggers." My phone buzzed, a news alert about Burke Eco Solutions. I opened it, my heart stopping as I read the headline. "Major eco company faces investigation over false environmental claims." "Guys," I said, turning my phone around. "Look." Riley whistled low. "Wow, someone leaked documents about their overseas suppliers." "Someone?" Noel raised an eyebrow at me. "Not me." I set the phone down, though I might know who did. The article detailed exactly what I'd discovered months ago. The toxic materials, the exploited workers, the falsified certificates. Landon's handiwork, all of it. "Your timing is impeccable," came a voice from the doorway. Angelina stood there, elegant as ever in her signature black pantsuit. "The market is about to have a very large hole in it, one that Eden Essence can fill." "Mrs. Tran," Noel scrambled to his feet. "We weren't expecting you until the board meeting. I like to surprise people." She walked over to inspect our prototypes. "Excellent craftsmanship. The design is inspired." She picked up one of my sketches. "You found your voice again, Lexi." Before I could respond, my phone started ringing. Mom's face flashed on the screen. "Take it," Angelina said. "It's time." I stepped into the hallway, heart pounding. "Hello?" "How could you?" Mom's voice was raw. "The FBI is here, Lexi. They're going through everything." "I didn't. Your brother is being questioned. Your father's in the hospital. His heart, Lexi. His heart." My own heart clenched, but I forced my voice to stay steady. "I warned you, Mom. I showed you the evidence months ago. You chose not to listen." "We're your family." "No," I said quietly. "You made it very clear I wasn't family when you chose Landon's lies over my truth." I ended the call and walked back into the office, where Riley was organizing our product launch presentation. "You okay?" she asked. "Better than okay." I picked up one of our prototypes, a solar-powered lamp that looked like a piece of abstract sculpture. Let's change the world. The next few hours were a blur of activity. Our marketing team arrived, photographers set up shoots, and social media started buzzing with teasers. By afternoon, Jocker Eden Essence was trending. "Look at this," Noel said, showing me his phone. The top comment on our preview post read, "Finally, eco-friendly products that don't look like eco-friendly products." "Speaking of looking good," Riley called from her desk, "wait until you see tomorrow's Business Weekly. They're running a feature on female entrepreneurs in sustainable tech." "Guess who's on the cover?" I groaned. "Please tell me you're joking." "Front page," Angelina confirmed, looking pleased. The former Burke Eco Solutions creative director, now revolutionizing sustainable design. The timing couldn't be better. My phone buzzed again, Landon this time. I declined the call. "You know," Noel said, studying our product line, "we should send a complete set to Burke Eco Solutions, as a professional courtesy." Riley snorted. "Professional courtesy my ass. You just want to twist the knife." "No," I said, an idea forming. "He's right, but not to twist the knife, to show them what they could have had if they'd stayed true to their principles." Angelina smiled that sphinx-like smile of hers. "Now you're thinking like a CEO." I looked around the room. At Riley's fierce loyalty, Noel's brilliant innovation, Angelina's steady guidance, and my own designs finally coming to life. This was what family should feel like. My phone lit up with another news alert. Burke Eco Solutions stock plummets amid scandal. I turned off my phone and picked up my sketchbook instead. Let's focus on tomorrow's launch. We've got a world to change. And for the first time since that day in the conference room, I felt nothing but gratitude for being pushed out. Sometimes you have to lose everything to find what you were meant to build. The launch party for Eden Essence was in full swing. Our renovated warehouse transformed into an eco-chic wonderland. Every major player in sustainable business was there, admiring our products displayed like museum pieces under soft, energy-efficient lighting. "Another magazine wants an interview," Riley said, appearing at my elbow with 2 glasses of organic champagne. "Forbes this time." I took a sip, watching the crowd. "How's the pre-order numbers?" "Off the charts. We've had to triple our production capacity." She grinned. "And Burke Eco Solutions just announced major layoffs." Before I could respond, a familiar voice cut through the crowd. "Lexi." My mother stood near the entrance, looking smaller than I remembered in her designer suit. The room suddenly felt too warm. "I've got this," Riley said, moving to intercept her, but I caught her arm. "No, let her come." Mom wound her way through the crowd, her eyes darting around the space. "This is impressive. What are you doing here? I needed to see you." She clutched her purse like a shield. "Your father's being indicted. Landon too. They're saying terrible things." "True things," I corrected quietly. "We need your help, your influence. If you could just speak to some people." "Mrs. Burke," Angelina's voice cut in smoothly as she appeared beside me. "How lovely to see you after all these years. I trust your husband's blood pressure has improved." Mum's face went pale. You did this." "No, your son did this. Your husband did this. I merely ensured the truth came to light." Angelina's smile was razor sharp. Karma, as they say, is a patient businesswoman. "We're family," Mum pleaded, turning back to me. "Doesn't that mean anything?" I set down my champagne glass. "It meant everything. That's why it hurt so much when you chose profit over principles, when you threw me away." "We didn't." "Yes, you did." I gestured to the space around us. "But look what happened. I found my real family. People who believe in the same things I do, who support each other instead of tearing each other down." A commotion near the door drew our attention. Landon pushed his way inside, his usual polished appearance notably disheveled. "Security," Riley called out, but I waved them off. "Let him come." Landon stormed over, his face red. "Happy now, sis? Everything we built is falling apart." "Everything you destroyed, you mean?" I corrected. "I tried to warn you." "Those documents were confidential. You had no right." "I didn't leak them, Landon, but I'm glad someone did." He laughed bitterly, gesturing at the displays. "So, this is your revenge? Pretty products for rich hippies." Noel stepped forward. "Your sister just secured contracts with 3 major retail chains. These pretty products will be in every major store by next quarter. At prices people can actually afford," Riley added, "with complete supply chain transparency." "You're finished, Landon," I said quietly. "But it didn't have to be this way. You chose this." "Your father is sick because of you," Mom cut in. "No," Angelina interrupted. "He's sick because he couldn't face the consequences of his own actions. Just like he couldn't 20 years ago when he tried to steal my husband's patents." Mom's face went white. "How did you—" "Please leave," I said, suddenly tired. "Both of you. Enjoy the party favors on your way out. They're all sustainable, of course." "This isn't over," Landon snarled. "Actually, it is." I nodded to security, who finally moved in. "Your company is facing federal charges, Landon. Maybe focus on finding a good lawyer instead of threatening me." As they were escorted out, I felt a hand on my shoulder. It was Angelina. "You handled that perfectly," she said, "like a true CEO. "Speaking of which," Riley cut in, "the Times reporter is ready for your interview. They want photos with the product line." I straightened my shoulders, smoothed my dress. Let's give them something to write about. The rest of the evening passed in a blur of interviews, congratulations, and partnership offers. Near midnight, as the last guests were leaving, I found myself alone with my core team. To Eden Essence, Noel raised his glass, and to Lexi, who proved that doing good can look good too. To Karma, Riley added with a wink. To family, I said, looking at each of them, the one we choose. My phone buzzed. Another news alert about Burke Eco Solutions, but I didn't open it. I didn't need to. My success wasn't about their failure anymore. It was about staying true to my principles, about creating something meaningful. Ready for tomorrow? Angelina asked, gathering her things to leave. The real work begins now. I looked around at our beautiful space, at the products we'd created, at the team we'd built. Bring it on. As if on cue, Riley's phone chimed. Another major order just came in. They want to feature us in their spring sustainability campaign. I smiled, picking up my sketchbook. Then we better get to work. I have some new designs in mind. The night view of the city sparkled through our windows, full of promise and possibility. Sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. It's living well, on your own terms. The courthouse steps were crowded with reporters when I arrived. 6 months had passed since our launch, and today was Landon's sentencing hearing. I hadn't planned to come, but something pulled me here. Miss Burke, the reporters surged forward. Any comment on your brother's guilty plea? How does it feel to see your family's company dismantled? I pushed through them without commenting, only to find Riley waiting at the top of the steps. Thought you might need backup, she said, linking her arm through mine. Inside, the courtroom was already packed. My parents sat in the front row, both looking years older than when I'd last seen them. Mom's hair had gone completely grey. Dad kept dabbing at his forehead with a handkerchief. We can leave, Riley whispered. No, I need to see this through. Landon entered in handcuffs, his designer suit replaced by something off the rack. He looked small somehow, nothing like the swaggering brother who'd had me thrown out of the company. The judge cleared her throat. Before I deliver the sentence, would anyone like to speak on the defendant's behalf? My father stood shakily. Your Honor, my son made mistakes, but... Mistakes? The word left my mouth before I could stop it. Every head in the courtroom turned. Miss Burke, the judge said, would you like to make a statement? I felt Riley squeeze my hand as I stood. Yes, Your Honor. Walking to the podium, I finally met Landon's eyes. There was no smirk now, no arrogance, just fear. My brother didn't make mistakes, I said clearly. He made choices, calculated decisions to deceive customers, exploit workers, and damage the environment for profit. He betrayed everything our company stood for. Lexi, please, Mum whispered from her seat. But, I continued, he's not the only one responsible. Our father encouraged it. Our mother enabled it. They chose profit over principle, and now thousands of people have lost their jobs because of it. The judge leaned forward. Are you asking for a harsh sentence, Miss Burke? No. I took a deep breath. I'm asking for rehabilitation. My brother's smart. He's talented. If he used those skills to actually help the environment instead of exploiting it, I turned to face Landon directly. You could still do something meaningful with your life. The judge nodded thoughtfully. After a moment, she spoke. Mr. Burke, please rise. Landon stood, his shoulders hunched. Taking into account your guilty plea and your sister's statement, I sentence you to 4 years in federal prison, followed by 3 years of supervised release. During that time, you will work with environmental cleanup initiatives. Additionally, you will pay restitution to all affected parties. The gavel came down with finality. As Landon was led away, he caught my eye one last time. I'm sorry, he mouthed. Outside, my parents were waiting. That was kind of you, Dad said stiffly, speaking for him like that. I didn't do it for him. I squared my shoulders. I did it because revenge doesn't solve anything. Building something better does. We've seen the news, Mom said quietly. Your company, It's everything ours should have been. Yes, it is. Maybe. Dad cleared his throat. Maybe we could talk. About the future. About rebuilding. No. The word came out gentle but firm. I'm not coming back to fix what you broke. I'm building my own legacy now. But we're still your parents, Mom pleaded. Yes, you are. And maybe someday we can have a relationship again. But not a business one. Never again. My phone buzzed. A text from Noel. Turn on CNBC now. Riley already had it pulled up on her phone. The headline made my heart stop. Eden Essence selected for Global Environmental Innovation Award. What's happening? Dad asked, trying to peek at the screen. Life, I said, smiling. Life is happening. Goodbye, Mum. Dad, take care of each other. Walking down those courthouse steps felt like walking into a new chapter. Riley linked her arm through mine again. You okay? Better than okay. I showed her another text, this one from Angelina. Come to the office. Time to discuss international expansion. Speaking of expansion, Riley grinned. Wait until you see the latest sales figures. We're not just beating Burke's old numbers, we're demolishing them. That's not what matters anymore. No? She raised an eyebrow. No. What matters is that somewhere, someone is using our products and realizing that doing the right thing can be beautiful too. We reached my car, where the media was still waiting. This time, I stopped. Miss Burke, what's your response to the verdict? I looked directly into the cameras. The only response that matters is action. Want to know what I think? Come to Eden Essence tomorrow. We're announcing something big. Riley laughed as we drove away. You're such a tease. They don't know about the solar project yet. They will tomorrow. I smiled, thinking of the designs waiting on my desk, of the future we were building. Sometimes the best way forward isn't looking back at all. The Global Environmental Innovation Awards ceremony buzzed with anticipation. I sat between Riley and Noel, trying not to fidget with my sustainable silk dress, a prototype from our new clothing line. Relax, Riley whispered. You've got this. Easy for you to say. You're not giving the keynote. Ladies and gentlemen, the MC announced, please welcome our next speaker, the CEO of Eden Essence, and this year's Innovation Award recipient, Lexi Burke. The applause felt surreal as I walked to the podium. Faces looked up at me expectantly. Industry leaders, environmental activists, and there, in the front row, Angelina nodding encouragingly. A year ago, I began, I sat in a conference room and watched everything I believed in crumble. My family's company, which had pioneered sustainable business practices, chose profit over principle. I lost my job, my family, and my purpose, or so I thought. The room was silent now, hanging on every word. But sometimes losing everything is just life's way of making room for something better. Today, Eden Essence isn't just a company, it's a movement. We're proving that sustainability doesn't mean sacrifice, that doing good and looking good aren't mutually exclusive. I clicked to the first slide, showing our solar project designs. I'm excited to announce that Eden Essence is partnering with global architecture firms to integrate our solar-powered art installations into urban spaces. Imagine city parks, powered by sculptures that are both beautiful and functional. Imagine public spaces that celebrate sustainability instead of hiding it. The next slide showed our new clothing line, and this is just the beginning. Today we're launching Eden Wear, fashion that's completely traceable, sustainable, and designed to last. No more fast fashion, no more hidden supply chains. Movement at the back of the hall caught my eye. My parents slipped in, taking seats in the last row. I faltered for a moment, then continued stronger. But the real innovation isn't in our products. It's in our promise, complete transparency. Every material, every worker, every process, visible to all. Because we believe that when you have nothing to hide, you have everything to gain. The applause was thunderous. As I returned to my seat, my phone lit up with a message from an unknown number. Landon, from prison. Watching the live stream. You were right all along. Proud of you, sis. I tucked the phone away as the award presentation began. When they called my name again, I walked up with my team. This award belongs to all of us, I said, holding up the recycled glass trophy. To everyone who believed that doing the right thing is always the right choice. At the reception afterward, Angelina appeared with a tall man in an impeccably tailored suit. Lexi, meet Marcus from Goldman Sachs. He's interested in taking Eden Essence public. My eyes widened. Public? But we're barely a year old. Your growth metrics are unprecedented, Marcus said. And your brand loyalty. I haven't seen numbers like these since Apple. Before I could respond, I felt a tap on my shoulder. Mum stood there, Dad beside her. Your speech, she said softly. It was beautiful. Thank you. I turned to introduce them to Marcus, but he and Angelina had tactfully disappeared. We've been following everything, Dad said. Your success, your innovations. You've built something remarkable. We were wrong, Mom added, about everything. We wanted to tell you that. I studied their faces, the genuine regret, the pride they'd never shown before. Would you like to see our new designs? I heard myself ask. Their faces lit up. As we walked toward the display area, Riley intercepted us. Sorry to interrupt, but Tokyo's on the line. They want to move up the launch date. Go, Dad said. We can catch up another time. Maybe dinner next week. I nodded slowly. Dinner would be nice. After they left, Noel appeared with champagne. To our fearless leader. To all of us, I corrected, including Riley and the rest of our team gathering around. Speaking of all of us, Riley grinned, wait until you see tomorrow's Times. They're calling us the future of ethical business. No pressure, I laughed. The evening wound down, but the energy remained electric. As we gathered for one last team photo, I caught my reflection in the window. I barely recognized the confident woman looking back at me. Hey, Riley nudged me. Where'd you go just now? Just thinking about that conference room a year ago, how losing everything turned out to be the best thing that ever happened to me. To us, she corrected. Now, about Tokyo, I smiled, pulling out my sketchbook, the same one I'd carried out of Burke Eco Solutions that last day. I have some ideas, because that's the thing about rock bottom. It's a pretty solid foundation to build something extraordinary. The morning sun streamed through Eden Essence's new headquarters, a renovated historical building powered entirely by our solar art installations. I stood in my office, putting the finishing touches on a display of our journey, our first prototype, newspaper clippings, and in the center, my original sketchbook. A knock at the door made me turn. Angelina stood there, looking elegant as ever. Ready for the transition announcement? Almost. I adjusted the frame containing our first product photo. Hard to believe you're really retiring. It's time. She walked over to examine the display. You've exceeded every expectation I had when I decided to mentor you. I had good teachers, I smiled. You, karma. Speaking of karma, Riley burst in, waving her tablet. You need to see this. She pulled up a video of Landon being interviewed after his release from prison. He looked different, humbler, more grounded. My sister was right, he was saying. Success built on lies isn't success at all. That's why I'm dedicating my community service to teaching sustainable business practices to at-risk youth. Turn it off, I said softly. There's more, Riley insisted. He's been consulting with environmental cleanup projects, actually making a difference. People can change, Angelina observed, when they want to. My phone buzzed, a text from Mom. We're here for the announcement. Your father's nervous but excited. They're really doing it, Riley asked, reading over my shoulder. I nodded. Dad's officially transferring what's left of Burke Eco Solutions to Landon's youth program. They're converting the old offices into a sustainability education center. Full circle, Angelina smiled. Now, shall we give them something to talk about? We headed to the conference room, now packed with media, employees, and industry leaders. Noel was already at the podium, running through our latest quarterly results. "And now," he said, beaming, "the moment everyone's been waiting for. Please welcome our CEO, Lexi." The applause was warm as I took the stage. In the audience, I spotted my parents sitting next to Landon. Mom gave me a thumbs up. When we launched Eden Essence, we had a dream of making sustainability beautiful and accessible. Today, that dream has grown beyond anything we imagined. Our solar art installations power cities worldwide. Our products have made eco-friendly living the new normal. I gestured to Angelina to join me. Mrs. Tran has been our guiding light, our mentor, and our biggest supporter. Today, as she steps into retirement, we're not just celebrating her legacy, we're building on it. I'm proud to announce that Eden Essence is establishing the Tran Foundation for Environmental Innovation with an initial endowment of $50 million. Angelina's usually composed face showed genuine surprise. We hadn't told her about this part, but that's not all, I continued. The Foundation's first project will be partnering with a new sustainability education center run by someone who learned the hard way that principles matter more than profit. Landon stood up, straightening his tie. "Thank you, sis. I won't let you down. Not again." The press conference dissolved into excited chatter as reporters rushed to get comments. In the chaos, I felt a hand on my arm. "Dad, I've never said this," he said, voice rough with emotion, "but I was wrong, and I'm so proud of you." "We both are," Mom added, joining us. "You built something amazing." "We built something amazing," I corrected, gesturing to my team. "All of us." Riley clinked a spoon against her glass, calling for attention. "Sorry to interrupt the family moment, but Tokyo's waiting for their virtual tour of the new installations." "Go," Dad smiled. "We'll see you Sunday for dinner." Wouldn't miss it. As the room cleared out, I found myself alone with Angelina one last time. "You planned this perfectly," she said. "The foundation, Landon's program, all of it." I learned from the best. I handed her a small package. "One last thing." She opened it to find a framed photo of us from the launch party, along with a handwritten note. "Sometimes karma needs a helping hand. Sometimes it needs a whole family." "You know," she said, touching the frame gently, "revenge is sweet, but this is better." "It's not about revenge anymore," I agreed. "It's about building something that matters." My phone chimed, Riley sending me the schedule for tomorrow's meetings. Tokyo, London, Sydney. Eden Essence had gone global, but our core values remained the same. "Ready to change more worlds?" Riley called from the doorway. I picked up my sketchbook, no longer filled with just dreams, but with reality. Always. Because sometimes the best revenge isn't revenge at all. Sometimes it's creating something so beautiful, so meaningful, that it transforms not just your own life, but everyone else's too. And that's a legacy worth building.
The crystal champagne flute shattered in my father's grip, sending shards and expensive bubbles across our mahogany dining table. My 30th birthday dinner had just transformed into a nightmare. I'm Blair, and this was supposed to be my milestone celebration. Instead, my mother Charlotte chose this moment to present me with an envelope containing what she claimed was evidence of my theft from the family business. The accusation hung in the air like poison. "Explain this," my father Harold demanded, his face turning that dangerous shade of red I'd grown to fear since childhood. He thrust the papers toward me, his hands trembling with rage. "I don't understand," I said, scanning the documents. They showed wire transfers, account statements, and a series of transactions I'd never seen before. "These aren't mine. I've never—" "Don't lie to me!" Harold slammed his fist on the table, making everyone jump. My sister Lindsay grabbed my hand under the table, squeezing it tight. "Harold, darling, please calm down," my mother said, her voice dripping with fake concern. "I'm sure Blair can explain why she's been siphoning money into offshore accounts." I looked into my mother's eyes and saw something I'd never noticed before, a glint of satisfaction. That's when I knew. This was no mistake. This was calculated. "This is insane," I said, standing up. "I haven't stolen anything. Someone's setting me up." "The evidence is quite clear," Charlotte sighed, touching my father's arm. I didn't want to believe it either, but the numbers don't lie. Nearly $2 million, Blair. What were you thinking? Lindsay gasped beside me. 2 million? I've already spoken with the board, Harold growled. You have 24 hours to confess and return the money, or you're not only fired, you're out of this family. Dad, please. No. He stood up, towering over me. I've given you everything. A position in the company, trust, responsibility, and this is how you repay me? I looked around the table at the faces I'd known all my life. My father, veins pulsing in his neck. Lindsay, tears streaming down her cheeks. And my mother, wearing that perfect mask of concern that didn't quite reach her eyes. I didn't do this, I said firmly, and I can prove it. Charlotte's expression flickered for just a moment, so brief I almost missed it, but it was there. Fear. There's nothing to prove, she said quickly. The evidence is conclusive. Then you won't mind if I hire my own forensic accountant to review everything? I challenged, watching her carefully. Every transaction, every document, every signature? That won't be necessary, Charlotte cut in. We've already had everything verified. By whom? I demanded. Enough? Harold roared. 24 hours, Blair. Not a minute more. I grabbed my purse and stood up, my chair scraping against the hardwood floor. You want the truth, Dad? Ask your wife where she was last Tuesday between 2 and 4 p.m. Ask her about the safety deposit box at First National. Ask her why she's so desperate to push me out of the company right now. Charlotte's face went white. Bull's eye. Get out, Harold said, his voice deadly quiet. Get out of my house. I walked to the door, then turned back one last time. Happy birthday to me, right? Don't worry, Mom. I'll make sure this is a celebration you'll never forget. The heavy front door slammed behind me with satisfying force. My hands were shaking as I pulled out my phone and dialed a number I'd hoped I'd never have to use. Ricky, it's Blair. Remember that favor you owe me? I need it now, and I need you to connect me with Emerson Fox. I got into my car and started the engine, my mind racing. My mother thought she was so clever, but she'd made one crucial mistake. She didn't know about the photos I'd taken last week or the conversations I'd recorded. She had no idea I'd been watching her for months, gathering evidence of her own schemes. She wanted to play games? Fine. But she'd forgotten who taught me how to play. As I pulled away from the mansion I'd grown up in, my phone buzzed with a text from Lindsay. What's really going on? I typed back quickly, truth time, sis, but not over text. Meet me tomorrow at the Blue Room, 10 a.m. Come alone. The city lights blurred as I drove, my mother's satisfied smirk burning in my memory. She thought she'd won, thought she'd finally found a way to push me out and take complete control. But she had no idea what was coming. Sometimes the best revenge isn't served cold. It's served with proof. And I had plenty of that. The Blue Room was nearly empty when Lindsay walked in, her designer heels clicking against the hardwood floor. She looked like she hadn't slept, dark circles visible even under carefully applied concealer. You look terrible, I said as she slid into the booth across from me. Yeah, well, watching our family implode will do that. She grabbed my untouched coffee and took a long sip. Start talking, Blair. What did you mean about Mom and the safety deposit box? I pulled out my phone and showed her a photo. This is Mom entering First National last Tuesday. Notice the timestamp, 2:15 p.m. She told Dad she was at her charity board meeting. That doesn't prove anything, Lindsay said, but I could hear the uncertainty in her voice. No? How about this? I swiped to the next photo. Here she is meeting with James from accounting, the same James who verified those transactions in my name. Lindsay's hands started trembling. Blair, if you're suggesting what I think you're suggesting, Mom's been planning this for months, I said, keeping my voice low. Remember when Dad had that health scare last year? She's been positioning herself ever since, trying to gain more control of the company. I'm the only thing standing in her way. But why? Dad gave her everything she wanted. I laughed bitterly. Not everything. She wants to sell the company. Dad would never agree to that. It's his legacy. But with me discredited and you already focused on your own career, she could convince him to retire, Lindsay finished, realization dawning on her face. Oh God, Blair. The waitress appeared with fresh coffee, and we fell silent until she left. There's more, I said, pulling out a small recorder. Listen to this. Charlotte's voice filled our quiet corner. James, I need those documents modified exactly as we discussed. Blair's signature needs to be perfect. Yes, the payment will be made as agreed. No one will ever know. Lindsay's face went pale. When did you record this? Last week. I've been watching her ever since I overheard her talking about handling the Blair situation on the phone. Why didn't you tell Dad? Would he have believed me? I asked. You know how he is with her. She's got him wrapped around her finger. The cafe door chimed, and I looked up to see my father walking in. My heart stopped. Speaking of the devil, I muttered. Harold spotted us and strode over, his face set in hard lines. Lindsay, go home. Dad, wait. Now. Lindsay shot me an apologetic look and squeezed my hand before leaving. Harold took her place in the booth. You've got some nerve, he said, trying to turn your sister against your mother. I'm not turning anyone against anyone, I replied. I'm just showing her the truth. The same truth I'm going to show you if you'll listen. The only truth I need to see was in those documents last night. Those documents are fake, Dad. Mom orchestrated this whole thing. His face reddened. Watch yourself, Blair. That's your mother you're talking about. Yes, my mother who's trying to frame me for embezzlement so she can push me out and convince you to sell the company. That got his attention. What did you say? You heard me. Why do you think she's been meeting with Vernon Industries? Those weren't charity lunches, Dad. They were acquisition talks. You're lying, he said, but there was a flicker of doubt in his eyes. I pulled out the photos and the recorder. Am I? Take these. Listen to them. Look at the evidence yourself, but do it privately, where she can't explain it away. He stared at the items for a long moment before slowly taking them. If you're wrong about this, he warned. I'm not, but if I am, I'll sign a confession and walk away from everything. You have my word. Harold stood up, tucking the evidence into his jacket pocket. 24 hours, Blair. That hasn't changed. One more thing, I called as he turned to leave. Check Mom's calendar for next Tuesday. She has another meeting scheduled with Vernon Industries. Might want to show up unannounced. He left without responding, but I could see the tension in his shoulders. The seed of doubt was planted. My phone buzzed with a text from Ricky. Meeting set with Emerson. 2 p.m. today. His office. I smiled. Emerson Fox had been my father's business partner for 30 years. He also had his own history with my mother, one she thought nobody knew about. If anyone could help me expose the truth, it would be him. I left enough cash on the table to cover both coffees and headed for the door. As I stepped outside, another text came through. This one from an unknown number. Back off while you still can. Some secrets should stay buried. I screenshot the message and saved it to my evidence folder. Mom was getting nervous. Good. Time to pay Emerson a visit and show him exactly what Charlotte had been up to. After all, he deserved to know how she was planning to sell off the company he'd helped build. Let the games begin. Emerson's corner office hadn't changed in 20 years. Same leather chairs, same view of the city skyline, same smell of expensive cigars. He stood as I entered, his silver hair catching the afternoon light. Blair, he said, gesturing to a chair. I must admit, I was surprised to get your message. Not as surprised as I was to find these, I replied, sliding a manila envelope across his desk. He opened it slowly, his expression changing as he examined the contents. Photos of my mother leaving Vernon Industries, copies of emails discussing company valuations, and a draft purchase agreement with his name conspicuously absent. Where did you get these? His voice was carefully neutral. Does it matter? They're real, and you know it. I leaned forward. She's planning to cut you out, Emerson, just like she's trying to cut me out. He sat back, rubbing his temples. Your mother always was ambitious. That's one word for it. I have another, criminal. Those are dangerous accusations, Blair. So is falsifying documents to frame your daughter for embezzlement. I pulled out my phone and played the recording of Charlotte and James. Emerson's face darkened with each word. Damn it, Charlotte, he muttered. Then louder, what do you want from me? The truth. About everything, including what happened between you and my mother 15 years ago. His head snapped up. How do you... I found the letters, I said. hidden in that old filing cabinet in the basement. Very passionate stuff, Emerson. Does Dad know? That was a long time ago, he said quietly. A mistake. A mistake she's been holding over your head ever since, right? That's why you've looked the other way while she's been making these backdoor deals. He stood up abruptly, walking to the window. Your father is my best friend. Then help me save his company. Help me stop her before she destroys everything he's built. The intercom buzzed. Mr. Fox, Mrs. Mitchell is here to see you. Emerson and I locked eyes. He pressed the intercom button. Send her in. Hide, he hissed at me, pointing to the adjacent conference room. I slipped inside just as my mother's voice filled the office. Emerson, darling, we need to talk about Blair. Yes, we do. His voice was cold. Sit down, Charlotte. Through the crack in the door, I watched my mother settle gracefully into a chair. She's making wild accusations, trying to turn everyone against me. You haven't heard from her, have you? Would it matter if I had? Of course it would. She's unstable, Emerson. The stress of the company, the pressure, it's affected her judgment. These delusions about me trying to sell the company. Like these delusions? He dropped the Vernon Industries documents on the desk. Charlotte's composure cracked for just a second. Where did you get those? Does it matter? They're real, aren't they? Emerson, please. You know how Harold is about the company. He'll never agree to sell, even though it's the smart move. Sometimes we have to guide people to the right decision. By framing your daughter for embezzlement? She laughed, but it sounded hollow. Is that what Blair told you? And you believed her? Remember who knows your secrets, Emerson. Remember what's at stake. Are you threatening me, Charlotte? I'm reminding you where your loyalties should lie. She stood up, smoothing her skirt. Don't make me an enemy, Emerson. You won't like the consequences. After she left, I emerged from the conference room. Emerson looked years older. Well, I said, that was illuminating. She'll destroy us all, he muttered. Not if we stop her first. I sat down across from him. I need access to the company's financial records. All of them, going back 5 years. That's impossible without board approval, unless the request comes from a board member. I raised my eyebrows meaningfully. He stared at me for a long moment. If I do this, there's no going back. Your mother will know exactly who helped you. She's already threatening you, Emerson. What more can she do? He opened his desk drawer and pulled out a security badge. Level 10 access. It'll get you into the records room after hours. But Blair? He caught my arm as I reached for the badge. Be careful, your mother isn't the only one with secrets in those files. I took the badge, tucking it into my pocket. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. This could end badly for all of us. As I turned to leave, he called out, Blair, for what it's worth, I'm sorry about everything. I nodded and left his office, my mind already racing with plans. Tonight, I'd get the proof I needed, but first I had to call Ricky. If I was going to break into the company records room, I'd need his expertise in digital security. My phone buzzed with another text from the unknown number. You're playing a dangerous game. Ask Emerson what really happened the night of the merger. I smiled. Finally, a real lead. Time to find out what other skeletons were hiding in the family closet. You know this is insane, right? Ricky's voice crackled through my earpiece as I swiped Emerson's badge at the records room door. It was 11 p.m. and the office floor was deserted. Less talking, more hacking, I whispered. Are you into the security system? Almost there. Cameras are on loop. You've got 30 minutes before the system resets. The door clicked open and I slipped inside. Rows of filing cabinets lined the walls, with a computer terminal in the center. Okay, I'm in. Talk me through this. Boot up the terminal, I'll remote in and bypass the login. I followed his instructions, watching as the screen came to life and codes scrolled past. How did you get so good at this stuff anyway? Let's just say my previous job wasn't entirely legal. Found it, accessing files from the merger period now. Documents started populating the screen. Financial reports, board meeting minutes, and... Wait, stop, go back to that email thread. My heart pounded as I read the exchange between my mother and the Vernon Industries CEO from 5 years ago. Ricky, are you seeing this? Holy shit, he breathed. They've been planning this takeover for years. And look who else was copied on these emails. James from accounting. He's been helping her cook the book since before Dad's health scare. Blair, there's something else. Check the attachment on that last email. I clicked it open and froze. It was a photograph of Emerson with a woman who wasn't his wife, dated just weeks before the original merger. The email text was simple. Insurance policy. Keep this safe. She's been blackmailing him, I said. That's how she kept him quiet all these years. Suddenly, the lights flicked on. I spun around to find Lindsay standing in the doorway, her face pale. What are you doing here? I hissed. Following you, she said, stepping inside. Blair, you need to stop this. Ricky, I'll call you back, I said, pulling out my earpiece. Mom knows what you're doing, Lindsay continued. She's furious. She said she'll press charges if you don't back off. Let her try. I gestured to the screen. Look at this, Lindsay. Look what she's been doing. She approached hesitantly, scanning the emails. Her hand flew to her mouth. That's not... She wouldn't... She did. She's been playing everyone for years. Dad, Emerson, us. We're all just pieces in her game. But why? We have everything we could want. Because everything isn't enough for her. She wants control. Complete control. Lindsay sank into a chair. What are you going to do? First, I'm going to copy all of this. I plugged in a USB drive. Then I'm going to... The computer screen suddenly went black. No. I frantically pressed keys. What happened? Someone remotely shut it down. I grabbed the USB drive. How much did it copy? Blair. Lindsay's voice shook. Your phone. I looked at my screen to find a new message. Nice try. Check your email. My inbox loaded to reveal dozens of photos. Me breaking into the records room, accessing files, copying data. The subject line read, Corporate espionage is a serious crime. She knew, I whispered. She knew I'd come here. We need to leave, now. Lindsay pulled my arm. Wait. I ran to the filing cabinets, yanking open drawers. There has to be hard copies. Blair, please. Found it. I pulled out a thick folder labeled Merger Documents, Original. Inside was everything. The real agreements, undoctored financial statements, and... What's that? Lindsay pointed to a sealed envelope that had fallen to the floor. I picked it up. The handwriting on the front was familiar. Dad's. It was dated the day before his health scare, addressed to Emerson. Take it, Lindsay urged. We can read it later. Footsteps echoed in the hallway. We killed the lights and pressed ourselves against the wall as a security guard walked past, his flashlight beam sweeping the room through the window. Once he passed, we slipped out and ran to the emergency stairs. We didn't stop until we reached my car in the parking garage. What the hell do we do now? Lindsay asked, breathing hard. Now? I pulled out my phone and dialed. Now we talk to Dad's lawyer. Violet needs to see this. Blair. Lindsay grabbed my hand. I'm sorry I didn't believe you before, about Mom. It's okay, but Lindsay, I met her eyes. This gets worse before it gets better. Are you with me? She nodded slowly. I'm with you. My phone buzzed again. Last warning. Back off or tomorrow's board meeting will be very uncomfortable for everyone, especially Harold. I started the car, my mind racing. The board meeting, of course. That's when she planned to make her move. We've got 12 hours, I told Lindsay. Time to see what's in Dad's letter. As we pulled away, I caught a glimpse of movement in my rearview mirror, a figure watching from the shadows. The game was changing, and tomorrow would decide everything. Violet's home office smelled like old books and expensive perfume. At 6 a.m., she looked impossibly put together in a crisp suit, reading Dad's letter with narrowed eyes. This changes everything, she said finally, placing the letter on her desk. How bad is it? I asked. Your father knew. She tapped the paper. He knew about the planned takeover, about Charlotte's manipulation, everything. He was gathering evidence before his health scare. Lindsay gasped. Are you saying Mom was responsible for Dad's heart attack? The letter suggests she may have been tampering with his medication. Violet's voice was grim. Harold suspected but couldn't prove it. That's why he wrote to Emerson. Insurance, in case anything happened to him. My hands shook with rage. She tried to kill him. And now she's trying to destroy you, Violet said. The board meeting is in 5 hours. What's your plan? I pulled out the folder from the records room. We have proof of her dealings with Vernon Industries, evidence of cooking the books, and now this letter. It's enough to stop her. It's enough to put her in prison, Violet corrected. But timing is crucial. Charlotte will expect you to make a move at the meeting. Then we'll make our move before. I turned to Lindsay. Call Dad. Tell him to meet us at Violet's office in an hour. It's time he knew everything. Lindsay stepped out to make the call. Violet leaned forward. Blair, there's something else you should know. Your mother came to see me yesterday. What did she want? To draft new company bylaws. Ones that would give her full control if Harold becomes incapacitated again. My blood ran cold. She's planning something for today. Almost certainly. Violet opened her laptop, which is why I took the liberty of contacting some old friends at the SEC. They're very interested in these financial discrepancies. Lindsay burst back in, face pale. Dad's not answering. I called the house. The housekeeper says Mom took him to the hospital an hour ago. Something about chest pains. No, I breathed. Not again. I grabbed my purse. Violet, go, she said. I'll handle the board meeting delay. Just get to your father. We raced to the hospital, breaking every speed limit. In the elevator, my phone buzzed with a message. Too late, darling. Should have backed off when you had the chance. The ICU waiting room was empty except for my mother, who looked up with perfectly feigned concern. Oh, girls, thank goodness you're here. What did you do? I snarled. Blair. She stood up, affronted. Your father had another episode. Thank God I was there to call the ambulance. Like you were there last time? I stepped closer. What was it this time, Mom? More medication tampering? Her eyes flickered to Lindsay, then back to me. You're hysterical. The stress is clearly affecting you. Mrs. Mitchell? A doctor approached. Your husband is asking for you. Of course. She smiled sweetly. Girls, wait here. Family only for now. We are family, Lindsay snapped. The board meeting starts in 4 hours. Charlotte reminded me softly. Such a shame you'll miss it, waiting here at the hospital. I'll be sure to express your regrets. As she turned to follow the doctor, I grabbed her arm. This isn't over. Oh, sweetheart. She patted my cheek. It was over before it began. The moment she disappeared down the hall, I pulled out my phone. Ricky, I need you to hack the hospital security cameras. Right now. On it, he said. What am I looking for? My mother, anywhere near my father's room or the pharmacy in the last hour. Lindsay paced nervously. Blair, what if she really does something to him? She won't, I said more confidently than I felt. She needs him alive to maintain control. This is just to keep us away from the board meeting. My phone buzzed. Emerson calling. Tell me you got my message, he said when I answered. What message? The board meeting. Charlotte changed the venue. It's happening at Vernon Industries in 30 minutes. What? That's not possible. It's 4 hours early. She called an emergency session. Blair, they're voting on the sale right now. I looked at Lindsay, who nodded. Go, I'll stay with Dad. Send me the address, I told Emerson. And Emerson, stall them, whatever it takes. I ran for the elevator, dialing Violet as I went. Meet me at Vernon Industries. Bring everything. It's happening now. Racing through traffic, I called Ricky again. Tell me you found something. Better, he said. I found the pharmacy tech she bribed. He's willing to talk. Send his statement to Violet. Another text flashed on my screen. Running out of time, Blair. Just like Daddy. I gripped the steering wheel harder. Mom thought she had all the pieces in place, but she'd forgotten one thing. I had nothing left to lose. The Vernon Industries building loomed ahead, its glass towers reflecting the morning sun. Somewhere in there, my mother was about to destroy everything my father had built. Not if I could help it. The Vernon Industries security guard tried to stop me, but Emerson was already waiting in the lobby. 14th floor, he said as we rushed to the elevator. They're about to call the vote. Did you do what I asked? He patted his breast pocket. Recording device, as requested, caught every word of Charlotte's private meeting with the Vernon CEO before the board arrived. The elevator seemed to crawl. How bad? She promised him insider information about our overseas contracts. Illegal as hell. Perfect. My phone buzzed. Lindsay, Dad's awake. He's asking for you. The elevator doors opened to chaos. Board members clustered in small groups, whispering urgently. My mother stood at the head of the conference table looking triumphant. Blair, she said smoothly, how nice of you to join us, though I'm afraid you're not authorized to be here. Actually, Violet's voice rang out as she strode in behind me. She is. As a victim of corporate fraud, she has every right to address this board. Charlotte's smile tightened. There's nothing to address. The vote is about to begin. The vote is suspended, Violet announced, dropping a thick folder on the table. Pending a federal investigation. The room erupted in murmurs. Charlotte laughed, but I caught the fear in her eyes. Investigation into what? Fraud, embezzlement, attempted murder. I stepped forward. Should I go on, Mom? These are ridiculous accusations. Play the tape, Emerson. He pulled out the recorder, and Charlotte's voice filled the room. Once Harold's out of the picture, permanently this time, the board will have no choice but to approve the sale. The color drained from her face. That's doctored. Like the evidence you planted to frame me? I turned to the board. Check your emails. You'll find proof that Mrs. Mitchell has been secretly negotiating this sale for years, manipulating company finances and attempting to eliminate anyone who stood in her way. Phones began buzzing as Ricky's mass email hit their inboxes. Including her own husband, Violet added, whose medication was tampered with under her orders. We have the pharmacy tech's sworn statement. Charlotte's mask finally cracked. You ungrateful little... Mrs. Mitchell, the Vernon CEO interrupted, standing up. Is this true? Of course not. This is a desperate attempt by my daughter to... To what, Mom? I pulled out Dad's letter. To expose how you've been poisoning him, planning to seize control, destroying everyone who opposed you? You have no proof. Actually, Lindsay's voice came from the doorway. We do. She walked in, followed by our father in a wheelchair, still in his hospital gown, looking pale but furious. Harold, Charlotte whispered, you should be in the hospital. Signed myself out, he growled. Had to see for myself if what the girls told me was true. He held up his phone. Just watched your little meeting with the Vernon CEO. Very enlightening. Darling, I can explain. Save it for the prosecutors. Violet cut in. They're very interested in speaking with you. Charlotte's eyes darted around the room, finding no allies. In a flash, she lunged for her purse, but Emerson was faster. He grabbed it, spilling the contents, including a USB drive labeled contingency. Looking for this? I picked it up. Your insurance policy? Too late. We found all your blackmail material last night. You're making a mistake, she hissed. All of you. I built this company as much as Harold did. No, Mom. I stood directly in front of her. You just tried to destroy it, and now everyone knows exactly who you are. The elevator dinged, and 2 FBI agents stepped out. Violet nodded to them. Perfect timing, gentlemen. Charlotte Mitchell? One asked. We need you to come with us. As they led her away, she turned back one last time. Blair, remember what I taught you about revenge? That it's best served cold? I smiled. I remember, Mom. I learned from the best. The boardroom emptied quickly, the Vernon CEO practically running for the elevator. Dad wheeled himself to the head of the table, looking exhausted but relieved. I'm sorry, he said quietly. I should have seen it sooner. I knelt beside his chair. We all should have. The company is safe, Violet assured him, though we'll need to do damage control. Later, Lindsay said firmly. Right now you're going back to the hospital, Dad, and this time I'm personally checking every medication. My phone buzzed one last time. An unknown number. Well played. But remember, some secrets stayed buried today. Don't go digging too deep. I deleted the message. Whatever other skeletons lurked in the company closet could wait. We had won the battle that mattered. Blair? Dad caught my hand. Thank you for fighting for the truth. I squeezed his hand, watching Lindsay gather his things. That's what family does, Dad. The real kind, anyway. Outside, I could hear sirens fading into the distance, carrying my mother away to face her consequences. It wasn't the birthday celebration I'd expected, but maybe it was the one we all needed. The next week passed in a blur of legal meetings, press statements, and hospital visits. Dad was recovering well, but the betrayal had aged him more than any medication ever could. I sat in his hospital room, watching him read through the company reports I'd brought. The board wants to meet tomorrow, I said. They're nervous about the publicity. Let them be nervous. He set down the papers. What your mother did, it's going to take time to rebuild trust. Dad, about the company. A knock interrupted us. Emerson stood in the doorway, looking uncomfortable. Harold Blair, we need to talk. If this is about the SEC investigation, I started, it's about the merger. The original one, 15 years ago. He closed the door. There are things you both need to know. Dad sat up straighter. Emerson, don't. They found the files, Harold. All of them. It's only a matter of time before the investigators piece it together. Piece what together? I looked between them. Emerson pulled up a chair. The company wasn't just yours to merge, Harold. You had a partner. Had being the operative word, Dad muttered. What partner? I demanded. Your Uncle Robert, Emerson said. Your mother's brother. The room went silent. I'd never heard of an Uncle Robert. He died in a car accident, Dad said quietly. 2 weeks before the merger. Convenient timing, I said, my stomach turning. Very, Emerson agreed, especially since he opposed the merger, was going to block it, in fact. That's enough, Dad snapped. No, it's not. Emerson turned to me. Your mother didn't start being manipulative recently, Blair. She's been playing this game for decades. Are you saying... I couldn't finish the question. The accident was never investigated properly, Emerson said. The police chief at the time was a close friend of your mother's. Dad's hands were shaking. I didn't know, not until after, when Charlotte let something slip. By then, the merger was complete. And you kept quiet? I stood up, anger rising. For 15 years? She had evidence, he said. Made it look like I was involved. Said if I ever told anyone, she'd destroy everything. The company, our family, everything. That's what was really on that USB drive, Emerson added. Not just recent blackmail material, proof of everything that happened back then. My phone buzzed. Violet, found something in the old files. Come to my office, now. I have to go, I said, grabbing my bag. The investigators will want to know about this. Blair, wait. Dad caught my arm. There's more. About Robert. About why your mother really wanted him gone. Tell me. He wasn't just opposing the merger. He was investigating Charlotte's connection to another death, your grandmother's. The room spun slightly. Grandma died of natural causes. That's what the death certificate says, Emerson said. But Robert had evidence suggesting otherwise. Another buzz? Lindsay this time? Mom's asking to see us. Says she'll tell everything. I showed them the message. Dad's face hardened. Don't trust her. She's trying to manipulate you again. Maybe, I said. But what if she's ready to confess to all of it? It's a trap, Emerson warned. Probably. But I need to know the truth. I headed for the door. All of it. Blair, Dad called after me. Whatever you learn. I'm sorry, I should have been stronger. Should have stopped her years ago. I nodded, not trusting myself to speak. In the hallway, I called Lindsay. Meet me at Violet's office first. There's something we need to see before we talk to Mom. Already here, she said. Blair, it's bad. Really bad. How bad? Mom didn't just kill Uncle Robert. She killed 3 other people who got in her way. Violet found the proof in sealed records. I leaned against the wall, breathing deeply. Text me the address of Mom's holding facility. I'll be there in an hour. Be careful, Lindsay said. She's desperate now. Desperate people are dangerous. I know, that's counting on. I stepped into the elevator, my mind racing. All these years we'd lived with a monster, never seeing her true face. Now it was time to confront her, to hear her justify decades of murder and manipulation. My phone buzzed one last time, an unknown number again. Ask her about the summer house fire. Ask her why she really killed Robert. Some secrets are worth dying for. I saved the message. Whatever game my mother was playing, whatever secrets she still held, it ended today. One way or another, the truth would finally come out. The elevator doors opened and I stepped out into the sunshine, ready to face the darkness that had shaped our family for generations. It was time to hear my mother's confession. The prison visiting room was cold and sterile. My mother sat across from me in her orange jumpsuit, somehow still managing to look elegant. Lindsay gripped my hand under the table. My girls, Charlotte said softly. I knew you'd come. We're not here for a reunion, I said. We want the truth about everything. She smiled that familiar, calculating smile. The truth? Are you sure you can handle it? Try us, Lindsay snapped. Start with Uncle Robert. Ah, Robert. She leaned back. My righteous big brother, always trying to protect me, even from myself, until he started digging into things that didn't concern him. Like Grandma's death? Mother was sick, Charlotte said sharply. She needed help ending her suffering. That wasn't your choice to make, I said. No? Like it wasn't my choice when your father wanted to sell the company to those vultures 15 years ago? Robert would have let it happen. So you killed him, Lindsay whispered. I protected what was ours. Charlotte's eyes flashed. Just like I protected us from the summer house fire that would have exposed everything. The insurance investigator, I realized, the one who disappeared. He was going to ruin us. I did what I had to do. And the others? I pulled out Violet's files. The accountant in 05, the board member in 12. Necessary sacrifices. They were people. Lindsay slammed her hand on the table. With families. Everything I did for our family, Charlotte hissed. To keep us powerful. To keep us wealthy. To give you girls everything. No. I stood up. You did it for yourself. Because you're a sociopath who can't stand losing control. She laughed, but there was an edge of desperation to it. You think you've won? You think exposing all this makes you powerful? She leaned forward. I still have one card left to play. Your hidden evidence? I smiled. The USB drive, already found it, along with the real records from the merger, the proof of your embezzlement, and your private accounts in the Caymans. For the first time, real fear crossed her face. It's over, Mom, Lindsay said. The FBI has everything. The DA is pressing charges for 4 counts of murder, attempted murder, fraud, and conspiracy. You're looking at life in prison, I added. No deals, no escape routes, just consequences. You ungrateful little... She lunged across the table, but the guards were faster, restraining her. I gave you everything. No, you took everything, I said calmly, and now we're taking it back. As the guards led her away, she screamed, You'll regret this, both of you. I'm still your mother. No, Lindsay called after her. You're just the woman who gave birth to us. There's a difference. Outside the prison, we sat in my car, processing. My phone buzzed. Dad, it's done. Board approved the restructuring. Company's safe. He did it, I told Lindsay. Dad secured the company. New board, new safeguards. And us? What do we do now? I started the engine. Now we rebuild. The right way. Blair? She touched my arm. I found something else in Mom's things. A letter from Uncle Robert written the day before he died. He knew what she was planning. He wrote that his biggest regret was not being able to protect us from her. Maybe we protected ourselves in the end, I said, by choosing truth over power, by being better than her. My phone buzzed again. Emerson. Board meeting tomorrow. They want to name you CEO. I showed Lindsay the message. She smiled. Take it. Show everyone what real leadership looks like. Only if you come back as CFO, I said. We do this together or not at all. Together, she agreed. No more secrets, no more lies. I pulled away from the prison, watching it shrink in my rearview mirror. My mother would spend the rest of her life there, surrounded by the consequences of her choices. You know what's funny? Lindsay said as we drove. She thought she was teaching us about power. Instead, she taught us about justice. And family, I added. The real kind. My phone lit up one last time. An unknown number. Congratulations, you won. But remember, power isn't just about control, it's about choice. I deleted the message without responding. We had all the power we needed now. The power of truth, of justice, and of real family bonds. Dad was waiting at the office with Emerson and Violet, ready to plan the company's future. A future built on honesty and integrity, not manipulation and fear. Ready? Lindsay asked as we pulled into the parking garage. I thought about everything we'd discovered, everything we'd overcome, about the strength we'd found in standing together against darkness. Ready, I said, and stepped out into the light. Some people spend their lives seeking power, but real power comes from knowing who you are and standing firm in your truth. My mother never understood that, but we did, and that made all the difference.
The text message from my bank hit me like a punch to the gut. Alert! Account ending in 47 though new one balance below $100. That was impossible. I'd saved over $20,000 in that account for my daughter's medical expenses. My name is Jillian, And in that moment, standing in the emergency room where I work as a nurse, I knew exactly what had happened. My mother had struck again. "Jill, you okay?" Talon touched my shoulder, his concerned face swimming into view. "You look like you've seen a ghost." "She did it again," I whispered, my hands shaking as I pulled up my banking app. "My mother, she—" The words caught in my throat as I stared at the balance. 47.21. "Take 5, Talon said, already reaching for my patient charts. "I've got your patients covered." I barely made it to the break room before the tears started falling. 5 years of careful saving, gone. Every extra shift, every holiday I'd worked, every penny I'd scraped together for Raylan's future, vanished. My phone rang. Mother, of course. "Where is it?" I demanded, not bothering with hello. "Sweetie, I can explain," she slurred. "I had a system. It was foolproof this time." "Where's my daughter's money?" "The cards were hot, baby. I just needed a little more to win it all back." "You stole $20,000 from your granddaughter." My voice cracked. A passing colleague glanced through the break room window, and I turned away. "Don't be so dramatic," Mother said. "I'll win it back. I'm due for a big one. I can feel it." "Where are you?" "The Golden Lotus. But listen, if you could just spot me another 1,000, I could—" I hung up and grabbed my keys. Thank God Raylan was at her after-school program. I couldn't face her right now, couldn't tell her that the money for her future medical needs was gone. The Golden Lotus Casino loomed ahead, its gaudy neon signs a beacon for desperate souls like my mother. I found her at a slot machine, cigarette dangling from her lips, surrounded by empty glasses. "Mother?" She didn't look up. "Just one more spin, honey. This one's gonna hit big." I reached over and yanked the power cord from the wall. The machine went dark. "Hey!" she protested, spinning to face me. Her makeup was smeared, her eyes glassy. "I was about to win." "You need to come home, now." "Don't take that tone with me, young lady. I'm still your mother." "Are you?" I grabbed her purse, dumping its contents onto the floor. My bank card fell out, along with several cash advance receipts. A mother doesn't steal from her granddaughter's medical fund. Security approached us. "Is there a problem here?" "No problem," I said, snatching up my card. "She's leaving." "Like hell I am." Mother tried to plug the machine back in. "I've got a system." "Ma'am," the security guard said, "I think it's time to go." Outside, Mother stumbled against me. "You're overreacting. I would have paid it back." "Like you paid back the 5,000 last year, or the 3,000 before that." I helped her into my car, fury and despair warring in my chest. This was different. This was Raylan's money. That child is perfectly healthy. She has a congenital heart condition. I slammed my hand against the steering wheel. "You know this. You were there when the doctor told us she might need surgery someday." Mother waved dismissively. "Insurance will cover it." "No, it won't. Not all of it." I started the car, my hands trembling. "This is the last time, Mother. I mean it." She snorted. "You always say that. Because you're living in my house. Because I trusted you. Because—" I stopped, a memory suddenly surfacing. Dad's letter, the one he'd left before he died. Something about the house deed. "Whatever you're thinking, stop it," Mother said, reading my expression. "I'm your mother. You need me." I pulled into our driveway, where Mrs. Peterson from next door was walking Raylan home from the bus stop. My beautiful 5-year-old broke into a run when she saw me. "Mommy, Grandma, look what I made in art class today." I caught her in my arms, breathing in her sweet scent, while Mother stumbled past us into the house. "Baby," I whispered, holding Raylan tight, "how would you like to have a sleepover at Aunt Freya's house tonight?" "Really? Can I bring Mr. Whiskers?" "Of course you can." I texted Talon's sister quickly, then helped Raylan pack an overnight bag. Once she was safely with Freya, I had work to do. Dad's letter was in my desk drawer, untouched since his death 2 years ago. I'd been too angry to read it then, too hurt by his abandonment. But now I remembered something he'd said about protecting us from Mother's unfortunate habits. As I pulled out the envelope, Mother's voice drifted down from upstairs, already on the phone with another casino. I unfolded the letter with trembling fingers, and there it was. The key to saving our future. Dad hadn't abandoned us after all. He'd left us a way out. Dad's handwriting was shaky, but his words were clear as day. If your mother ever endangers your future or Raylan's, there's a reconciliation clause in the house deed. She can be removed without her consent under specific conditions. I read the letter 3 times, my hands trembling. All this time, I'd thought Dad had abandoned us, but he'd been protecting us even after death. My phone buzzed. Talon, how are you holding up? I found something, I said. Dad left us a way out. A way out of what? Everything. I heard Mother upstairs, still talking to the casino. Can you meet me for coffee? I need someone to tell me I'm not crazy. 20 minutes later, I slid into a booth at the 24-hour diner across from the hospital. Talon pushed a steaming cup toward me. Okay, spill it. I spread Dad's letter on the table. He knew she'd never stop gambling, so he built in a safety net when he put the house in both our names. Talon leaned forward, reading. Jesus, Jill, this is serious stuff. She stole my daughter's future, I said, my voice cracking. $20,000 gone in what? A few hours? Have you thought this through? Taking her name off the deed means? It means she'll have nowhere to go. I wrapped my hands around the coffee cup, seeking warmth. I know. The waitress stopped by, and we fell silent until she left. Remember last year? I asked. When Raylan had that heart scare? Talon nodded. He'd been there in the ER that night. The doctor said she might need surgery before she's 10. Major surgery, Talon. And now the money's gone. My voice broke. My baby's money is gone. There are other ways. No. I pulled out my phone, showing him the banking app. Look at the withdrawal times. 3 a.m., 4 a.m., 5 a.m. While I was working nights trusting her to watch Raylan, she was stealing from us. Jill? She used my card, Talon. She must have watched me enter the PIN. She planned this. The diner door chimed, and a group of nurses from our shift walked in. They waved, but seemed to sense we needed privacy. What does your gut tell you? Talon asked quietly. That I'm turning into her. I pressed my palms against my eyes. Calculating, manipulative. Stop. Talon reached across the table, pulling my hands down. You're protecting your daughter. That's what mothers do. But am I any better? Planning to make her homeless? You know what the difference is? He tapped Dad's letter. You're doing this to protect someone. She did what she did to feed an addiction. My phone buzzed again. Mother. Where are you? I need to borrow your car. I texted back. No, don't be difficult. I need to run to the bank. There's nothing left to take. The typing bubbles appeared and disappeared several times before. You're just like your father. Never understood the big picture. I turned the phone face down, fighting tears. Hey, Talon said softly. What's the next step? I pulled out a business card I'd been carrying for months. Dad's old lawyer, Edgar, he's the one who drew up the deed. Then that's where you start. I already called. He can see me tomorrow morning. I traced the letter's edge with my finger. Is it wrong that part of me hopes she fights this? That she finally shows some kind of, I don't know, remorse? It's not wrong. Talon squeezed my hand. It's human. My phone buzzed again. This time it was Freya. Raylan wants to say goodnight. Video call, okay? Moments later, my daughter's face filled the screen. Mommy, Aunt Freya let me help make cookies. That's wonderful, baby. I forced a smile. Are you being good? Uh-huh. Can we do more sleepovers? This is fun. Behind her, Freya gave me a thumbs up. My daughter was safe, loved, and completely unaware of the storm brewing at home. We'll see, sweetheart. Now get some sleep, okay? Okay. Love you, Infinity. Love you, Infinity +1. After ending the call, I looked at Talon. I have to do this, don't I? He nodded slowly. You know what they say on airplanes? Put your own oxygen mask on first? Yeah? This is your oxygen mask, Jill. You can't help anyone if you're drowning. I folded Dad's letter carefully, tucking it away. The appointment with Edgar is at 9. Want me to come with? No. I stood up, gathering my resolve. This is something I need to do alone. As I drove home, Mother's lights were still on. I could hear her through the open window, making promises to someone on the phone, probably another casino's credit department. Tomorrow, I'd start the process of removing her name from the deed. Tomorrow, I'd take the first step toward saving my daughter's future. But tonight, I had one more letter to read. The rest of Dad's goodbye, the part I'd been too angry to face before. Edgar's office smelled like old leather and coffee. He hadn't changed since I'd last seen him at Dad's funeral. Same bow tie, same wire-rimmed glasses, same compassionate eyes. Your father was a wise man, he said, studying the letter. He knew this day might come. Can it be done? I asked, perched on the edge of my seat. Can we remove her name? Edgar pulled out a thick folder. Your father built in very specific conditions: financial misconduct, endangerment of a minor's well-being, misuse of shared assets. He looked up. Do you have documentation of the theft? I placed a manila envelope on his desk. Bank statements, withdrawal receipts, cash advance slips. She took everything while I was working nights. He examined each document carefully. And the money was specifically designated for your daughter's medical care? Yes. I have letters from Raylan's cardiologist about her condition and potential future procedures. Good. He made notes on a legal pad. The fact that she used your card without permission makes this criminal theft, not just a family dispute. My stomach churned. Will she go to jail? Only if you press charges. Edgar leaned back. The deed modification can proceed without criminal charges, but you should know, she won't go quietly. What do you mean? She'll be served notice. She'll have 30 days to contest the modification. If she does, there will be a hearing. I twisted my hands in my lap. Will I have to testify? Yes, and you'll need to be prepared for what she might say. People facing consequences often lash out. My phone vibrated. Mother again. I ignored it. How long will this take? Best case, 2 months. Worst case if she fights it, 6 months or more. I can't wait that long. I leaned forward. She's still in the house, still asking for money. Last night My phone buzzed again. This time it was Raylan's school. I'm sorry, I said. I have to take this. Mrs. Fox, this is Nurse Sandra. Raylan had a bit of a fall during recess. My heart stopped. Is she okay? Just a scraped knee, but given her condition, we thought you'd want to know. Her heart rate was slightly elevated. I'll be right there. I hung up and looked at Edgar. My daughter, go, he said, already gathering the papers. I'll start the paperwork today. But Jillian? He caught my eye. Once this starts, there's no going back. Are you sure? I thought of the empty bank account, of Raylan's future surgeries, of Mother upstairs making promises to casinos while my daughter slept. I'm sure. The school nurse's office was quiet when I arrived. Raylan sat on the exam table, swinging her legs, a Disney princess Band-Aid on her knee. Mommy, she reached for me. I fell, but I was brave. I hugged her tight, checking her pulse out of habit, strong and steady. What happened, baby? I was chasing Marcus and tripped on the playground, but look. She pointed to her knee. Nurse Sandra gave me Ariel. The nurse appeared with an incident report. Her vitals are normal now. We monitored her for 15 minutes just to be safe. I signed the form, trying to keep my hand steady. This was why we needed that money. One fall, one scraped knee, and my world stopped spinning until I knew her heart was okay. Can I go back to class? Raylan asked. We're making solar systems. After confirming she was truly fine, I watched her skip back to class, her backpack bouncing. My phone buzzed yet again. Where have you been? Mother demanded. I need you to come home. The casino manager is being completely unreasonable about my credit line. I'm at Raylan's school. She fell. Oh, she's fine. That child bounces like rubber. Now about the casino. No. The word came out sharp, final. No more casinos. No more money. No more chances. Don't take that tone with me. I raised you better than... Did you? Did you raise me, Mother? Or did I raise myself while you chased jackpots? Silence then. You sound just like your father before he abandoned us. He didn't abandon us. I thought of the letter, of Edgar's office, of all the pieces falling into place. He protected us, and now I'm protecting my daughter. I ended the call and texted Talon. It's done. Lawyer started the paperwork. His reply came quickly. You okay? No, but I will be. Walking back to my car, I saw Raylan through her classroom window. She was holding up a papier-mâché planet, laughing with her friends, her scraped knee already forgotten. She was everything good and pure in my world, everything worth fighting for. My phone rang again. Edgar. The papers are ready, he said. The server will deliver them tomorrow morning. Are you prepared for her reaction? I watched my daughter, safe in her classroom, and felt steel enter my spine. Yes, I said. I'm ready. The server came at 8 a.m. sharp. I watched from my car across the street. Raylan safely dropped at school as Mother answered the door in her bathrobe. Even from here, I could see her face change as she read the papers. My phone started ringing immediately. I let it go to voicemail. You've got some nerve. Her voice crackled through the speaker. I'm your mother. You can't do this to me. 3 more calls, 3 more voicemails. I drove to work, trying to focus on the day ahead. Talon caught me in the locker room. You look like you haven't slept. She was served this morning. I pulled on my scrubs. It's officially started. How'd she take it? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed with a text. Meeting at the community center tonight. Could use your medical expertise. Freya. Your sister needs me at some meeting, I told Talon. Something about medical expertise? Oh, right. The Safe House Project. He smiled. You should go. Might help take your mind off things. The ER was busy enough to keep me distracted until my shift ended. Mother had called 17 more times. I deleted the voicemails without listening. The community center was lit up when I arrived. Freya met me at the door, clipboard in hand. Thanks for coming, she said, leading me inside. We're trying to set up a medical assistance program for the Safe House residents. Safe House? For women escaping abuse, addiction, bad situations. She gestured to a room full of people. We've got the building, but we need protocols for medical emergencies. I stopped short. Is this about addiction recovery? Partly. Freya touched my arm. Talon told me about your mom, about the money. I thought maybe something good could come from it. What do you mean? The money's gone, right? But what if we could help prevent other families from going through what you did? The meeting started before I could respond. I sat listening to stories of women trapped by addiction, by abuse, by circumstances they couldn't control. Each story felt like a mirror, reflecting pieces of my own life. My phone buzzed. Mother again. This time, I answered. "How dare you?" she hissed. "After everything I've done for you?" "I'm in a meeting," I whispered, stepping outside. "We can talk later." "No, we'll talk now. I raised you, fed you, clothed you, and stole from my daughter." My voice was steady. "You stole her future." "It wasn't stealing. I was gonna pay it back." "With what money, Mother? The money you don't have? The credit cards that are maxed out?" Silence then. "I need help." My heart stuttered. In 34 years, I'd never heard those words from her. "What kind of help?" "Money for a lawyer, to fight this ridiculous petition." The hope that had flared died instantly. "No. Then I'll tell everyone what an ungrateful daughter you are, how you're throwing your own mother out on the street." Inside, Freya was discussing recovery programs. Through the window, I could see women nodding, sharing their stories of hope and healing. "You know what, Mother? Tell everyone. Tell them how you stole your granddaughter's medical fund. Tell them how you gambled away her future. Tell them everything." I ended the call and went back inside. Freya was introducing a woman who'd recovered from gambling addiction, who now counseled others. "The hardest part," the woman was saying, "is admitting you need help. Sometimes it takes hitting rock bottom." After the meeting, Freya caught up with me in the parking lot. "What did you think?" "I think?" I looked back at the building. "I think I want to help. Not just with medical protocols, with everything." "Really?" Her face lit up. "We could use the expertise. And," she hesitated, "maybe it would help you too. Healing goes both ways." My phone buzzed with a text from Mother. "You'll regret this. I'm calling everyone we know." Freya read it over my shoulder. "You okay?" "Actually, yes." I put the phone away. For the first time in years, I feel like I'm doing the right thing. "The safe house needs funding," Freya said carefully. "If you wanted, when you get the money back." "There is no getting it back." I smiled sadly. "But maybe we can stop it from happening to someone else's daughter." Driving home, I passed the Golden Lotus Casino. Mother's favorite haunt was lit up like a carnival, promising riches and delivering ruin. I thought about the women at the meeting, about second chances and rock bottoms. My phone rang again. This time it was Raylan's school. "Mrs. Fox, just wanted to let you know Raylan did wonderfully in her presentation today. She taught the class all about the heart." I pulled over, overwhelmed by sudden tears. "She said she wants to be a doctor," the teacher continued, "to fix hearts like hers." In that moment, I knew with absolute certainty that I was doing the right thing. Not just for Raylan, but maybe, in some twisted way, for Mother too. Sometimes love means making the hardest choices. Sometimes it means being the bad guy to do the right thing. Mother's campaign of revenge started with Aunt Sarah's call. "How could you do this to your own mother?" she demanded. "She's devastated." I was in the hospital break room, 3 hours into a 12-hour shift. "Did she tell you why?" "She said you're trying to make her homeless over a simple misunderstanding about money." Simple misunderstanding? I gripped my phone tighter. "Ask her about the $20,000 she stole from Raylan's medical fund." Silence. Then, "What?" By the time I finished explaining, Aunt Sarah's tone had changed completely. "I'll call you back," she said quietly. The next call came from Uncle Pete, then Cousin Mary, then my mother's best friend Dorothy. Each time, the same pattern: accusation, explanation, shocked silence. "Your mother's been busy," Talon said, handing me a coffee. "She's calling everyone we know." I showed him my phone. "But it's backfiring. People are finally seeing her for who she is." "Speaking of seeing things," he nodded toward the ER entrance. Mother stood there, swaying slightly, makeup smeared. Security was already moving toward her. "I've got this," I told them, approaching her. Mother, you can't be here. My own daughter, she announced loudly, throwing me out like garbage. Patients and staff turned to stare. I took her arm, leading her toward the exit. You're drunk. Go home. Home? She laughed bitterly. The home you're stealing from me? Lower your voice. This is a hospital. Where's my granddaughter? I want to see Raylan. Not happening. I pushed through the doors into the parking lot. Not while you're like this. She grabbed my arm, her nails digging in. You think you're better than me? You think you can't end up just like me? I'm nothing like you. No? She smiled cruelly. Then why do you check your pulse when you're stressed? Why do you count ceiling tiles when you're anxious? Just like I taught you, just like my mother taught me. I pulled away, my heart racing. She was right. I was doing it now, pressing fingers to my wrist, counting the beats. Go home, Mother. Sleep it off. Or what? You'll call the police? Report your own mother? If I have to. She staggered back, tears cutting through her mascara. I gave you everything. You gave me anxiety, trust issues, and an empty bank account. The words came out before I could stop them. But you know what? You also gave me the strength to stop you. Back inside, Talon was waiting. You okay? No. I showed him my trembling hands. She's right. I am like her. All these little habits, these anxious tics. Stop, he grabbed my shoulders. Having her habits doesn't make you her. You're breaking the cycle, Jill. That's what matters. My phone buzzed. Freya. Community center meeting in an hour. We're discussing funding allocation. Coming? I looked at Talon. Cover for me? Go. Do something good with this mess. The community center was packed. Freya stood at the front, outlining plans for the Safe House's medical clinic. We need about $20,000 for basic equipment, she was saying as I slipped in. $20,000, the exact amount Mother had stolen. I raised my hand. What if we had that money? Hypothetically? Freya's eyes widened. Are you saying, if we get it back, through legal means or restitution, it should go here, help other families break the cycle? The room burst into discussion. A woman in the back stood up. I lost my house to my husband's gambling, she said. My kids lost their college funds. A place like this, it could have saved us years of pain. Others shared similar stories. Each one felt like a piece of my own story, reflected back at me. My phone buzzed. Edgar, your mother's lawyer contacted me. She wants to negotiate. I stepped out to call him back. What kind of negotiation? She's offering to repay the money in exchange for staying on the deed. Where would she get the money? She claims she can borrow it from family. I thought of all those phone calls today, all those relatives finally seeing the truth. No, I said, no more enabling, no more chances. Are you sure? It would be faster than court. I'm sure. I watched through the window as Freya drew up plans for the clinic. The money's not the point anymore. This has to end. Back inside, I raised my hand again. I want to volunteer, not just with medical stuff, with everything. Freya beamed. Really? Really? I took a deep breath. Because my mother was wrong about one thing. We're not doomed to repeat our parents' mistakes. We can choose differently. My phone buzzed one last time. Mother. You'll regret this. You're just like me. You'll see. I typed back. No, Mother. I'm choosing to be better. And maybe, someday, you will too. Then I turned off my phone and joined the meeting, ready to turn our family's pain into someone else's healing. The court notice arrived on a Tuesday morning. Mother had filed her formal objection to being removed from the deed, which meant we were heading for a hearing. But that wasn't what shocked me. She's in rehab? I read the letter again, certain I was seeing things. Talon leaned over my shoulder in the break room. Gambling addiction treatment? Voluntarily? Her lawyer says it's proof she's taking steps to reform. I set the paper down. After all these years, all those broken promises, you don't believe her? I don't know what to believe anymore. My phone lit up with a text from an unknown number. This is Dr. Marcus from New Hope Recovery Center. Your mother Cecilia has listed you as her emergency contact and requested family therapy sessions. I showed Talon the message. Are you gonna go? I can't. I shoved the phone in my pocket. It's just another manipulation. But later that night, as I tucked Raylan into bed, doubt crept in. Mommy? She clutched Mr. Whiskers, her stuffed cat. When is Grandma coming home? I don't know, baby. Is she sick, like my heart is sometimes sick? I sat on the edge of her bed, searching for words. Kind of. She's getting help to get better. Can we visit her, like when you visit me in the hospital? Before I could answer, my phone buzzed. Dr. Marcus again. Cecilia had a breakthrough in group therapy today. She's asked about you repeatedly. Mommy? Raylan touched my face. You're crying. I wiped my eyes quickly. Just tired, sweetheart. Time for sleep. The next day, I met Freya at the community center. The medical clinic was taking shape, empty rooms slowly filling with donated equipment. Look what came in today, she said, showing me a cardiac monitor, perfect for basic screenings, like the one that caught Raylan's condition early. I ran my hand over the machine. How many kids might this save? Speaking of saving people, Freya hesitated. I heard about your mom. New Hope is one of our partner facilities. You knew? She checked in 3 days ago, asked about our family program. I sat heavily in a nearby chair. Is she serious about it? Want to see for yourself? Freya pulled out her tablet, pulling up security footage. This is from yesterday's group session. There was Mother, sitting in a circle of other women. No makeup, no fancy clothes, looking smaller somehow. As I watched, she stood up, hands shaking. My name is Cecilia, she said, voice trembling, and I've lost everything that matters. My granddaughter's medical fund, my daughter's trust, my self-respect. I turned away. Stop, I can't watch this. Jill. Freya touched my shoulder. Recovery is possible. I see it every day. And how many times do they relapse? Some do, but some make it. The difference is usually family support. My phone buzzed. Edgar. The hearing is set for next month. Your mother's lawyer requested a delay for treatment completion. Your call. Freya read the message over my shoulder. What are you going to do? I don't know. I looked around the clinic room. All of this came from pain like mine, from families broken by addiction. And healing, Freya added. Don't forget that part. That evening, I sat with Raylan's photo album. There was Mother holding her as a newborn, beaming with pride. Mother at her 4th birthday, before the gambling got bad. Mother teaching her to make cookies last Christmas, between casino trips. My phone buzzed again. A video message from New Hope. Mother's face filled the screen, bare of makeup, eyes red. Jillian, I don't expect forgiveness. I don't deserve it. But I'm learning things here about why I hurt the people I love. I understand if you never want to see me again, but please know I'm trying, really trying this time. The video ended. I played it again, searching for signs of manipulation, of deceit. Instead, I saw something I'd never seen before, genuine shame. I called Edgar. If I agree to the delay, I said, what happens? She completes the program, demonstrates changed behavior, agrees to conditions for staying on the deed, regular testing, financial monitoring, counseling. And if she relapses, the removal proceeds automatically, no further hearings needed. I thought of Raylan asking about visiting her grandmother, of the cardiac monitor at the clinic, of Mother's tearful video. Okay, I said, draw up the conditions, Make them strict. Are you sure? No. I looked at the photo album again. But maybe that's okay. I texted Dr. Marcus. What time are family sessions? The response came quickly. Thursdays at 6 p.m. Cecilia will be thrilled. Don't tell her I'm coming, I wrote back. I need to see for myself if this is real. That night, Raylan found me crying in the kitchen. Is your heart hurting, Mommy? I pulled her into my lap. No, baby. Sometimes hearts just need time to heal. Like Grandma's? Yeah, I whispered, holding her close. Like Grandma's. The New Hope Recovery Center looked more like a small college campus than a rehab facility. I sat in my car for 20 minutes before finding the courage to walk in. You must be Jillian, Dr. Marcus said, extending his hand. Your mother's in the garden. Would you like to observe before joining? Through the window, I saw Mother tending to a small plot of vegetables. Her hands, usually manicured to perfection, were covered in dirt. She looked peaceful. She doesn't know I'm here? No, we thought it best to let you set the pace. Mother looked up then, wiping sweat from her forehead, and saw me. The trowel fell from her hands. Jillian? I stepped into the garden. Up close, I could see the changes more clearly. No makeup, gray showing in her roots, worry lines around her eyes. The tomatoes need water, I said, not knowing what else to say. Yes. She reached for the watering can with trembling hands. Would you like to help? We worked in silence, watering the plants, pulling weeds. Finally, she spoke. I didn't think you'd come. Neither did I. She stopped, took a deep breath. No excuses, no justifications. That's what we learn here. Just truth. And what's the truth, Mother? That I destroyed everything good in my life, that I hurt my granddaughter, that I betrayed my only daughter's trust. Her voice cracked. That I'm terrified of becoming my own mother, but ended up worse than she ever was. I hadn't known that about my grandmother. What do you mean? She was a gambler too, lost everything when I was 12. I swore I'd never. She wiped her eyes. History repeats unless we break the cycle. Dr. Marcus appeared with chairs. Shall we move this to family therapy? In his office, Mother showed me her workbooks, her daily journals, her recovery plan. 6 months clean, she said softly. Longest I've ever gone. The hearing is next week, I reminded her. I know. She met my eyes. Whatever you decide, I'll accept it. Part of recovery is accepting consequences. Dr. Marcus leaned forward. Cecilia, would you like to share what you wrote in your amends letter? Mother pulled out a worn piece of paper. Dear Jillian and Raylan, stop. I stood up. I need to show you something first. I led her to my car and drove to the community center. Freya was there, supervising the installation of new medical equipment. This is where Raylan's money went, I said, watching Mother's face. Not to the casinos. Here. Mother walked slowly through the clinic room, touching the cardiac monitor, the examination table, the pediatric equipment. A safe house, Freya explained, for families affected by addiction. The medical clinic will help kids like Raylan. Like Raylan? Mother's voice was barely a whisper. Children with heart conditions? Among others. I showed her the intake forms. We're already booked for the first month of screenings. Mother sank into a chair, hands covering her face. When I stole the money, I thought I could win it back, make it more, give Raylan everything. She doesn't need everything, I said. She needs stability, safety, love. Like I never gave you. But you can start now. I pulled out Edgar's papers. These are the conditions: regular testing, financial oversight, continued therapy. Meet them, and you can stay on the deed. She read through them slowly. And if I relapse? Automatic removal, no appeals. You're giving me another chance? No, I took the papers back. You're earning one. There's a difference. Freya appeared with forms of her own. We also need volunteers, people who understand addiction from both sides. Mother looked at me, then at the forms. You'd trust me here? Not yet, I said honestly, but maybe someday. Back at New Hope, Mother returned to her garden. Will you bring Raylan? When you think I'm ready? One step at a time. I watched her gather her tools. Read your amends letter at the hearing next week. Mean every word. I will. She hesitated. Jillian, thank you. Not for the chance. I haven't earned that yet, but for showing me what real love looks like. What you did with the money, it's beautiful. That night, I showed Raylan pictures of the clinic. This is where your special heart money went, I explained, to help other kids like you. And Grandma's helping too? She's trying to get better first, then maybe. Like when my heart gets better? I hugged her close. Yeah, baby, hearts can heal. It just takes time. My phone buzzed. A message from Mother. Day 185, still clean, still trying, still grateful. For the first time in years, I wrote back, proud of you, keep going. It wasn't forgiveness, not yet, but it was a start. Sometimes that's all healing needs, just a start. The hearing room felt smaller than I expected. Mother sat beside her lawyer, hands folded neatly, wearing a simple blue dress instead of her usual flashy outfits. Edgar gave my shoulder a reassuring squeeze. The court will now hear the petition regarding property deed modification. The judge announced, I understand there's been an agreement reached? Edgar stood. Yes, Your Honor. We've prepared conditions for Mrs. Cecilia to remain on the deed, contingent on continued recovery and financial oversight. And the stolen funds? Mother's lawyer spoke up. My client has agreed to repayment through garnished disability payments and supervised work at the Community Center Medical Clinic. The judge turned to Mother. I understand you've prepared a statement? Mother stood, unfolding her amends letter with trembling hands. Your Honor, 6 months ago, I thought rock bottom was losing my home. I was wrong. Rock bottom was seeing my daughter turn my greatest shame into something beautiful. She turned to face me. I stole from my granddaughter's medical fund, money saved for her heart condition. But Jillian, she took that pain and built a clinic to help other children. While I was gambling away our future, she was saving others. The judge leaned forward. And your recovery progress? 6 months sober from gambling. Daily therapy. Working the program. Mother pulled out her sobriety chips. I can't undo what I did, but I can spend the rest of my life trying to be worthy of my daughter's example. The judge reviewed the conditions. These terms are strict. One relapse and you lose everything. I understand. Mother's voice was steady. It's more than I deserve. Very well. The judge signed the papers. Petition approved with conditions. Court adjourned. Outside, Mother turned to me. Thank you for coming today. I didn't do it for you, I said. I did it for Raylan and for me. I know, she hesitated. The clinic? When can I start? Freya needs help with intake paperwork, nothing financial. I added quickly. Just filing, scheduling. I'd like that. My phone buzzed. A text from Talon. First patient at the clinic. Get over here. At the community center, a young mother waited with her son. Freya was explaining the cardiac screening process. Just like we did with Raylan, I told the nervous boy. Want to see your heart on the screen? Mother stood in the doorway, watching. When the boy's heartbeat filled the room, her eyes welled up. That sound, she whispered, like Raylan's first ultrasound. Come help, I said impulsively. You can hand me the equipment. We worked together, showing the boy and his mother the heart chambers, explaining the tests. When we found a minor murmur, Mother's organizational skills kicked in, efficiently scheduling follow-ups and specialist referrals. "You're good at this," I said afterward. "It feels right." She straightened the intake forms. Like maybe all those years of chaos led to something meaningful. "Mom!" Raylan's voice echoed through the clinic. She ran in with Talon, stopping short when she saw Mother. "Grandma?" Mother knelt down. "Hi, sweetheart. I've missed you." Raylan looked at me questioningly. I nodded. "Want to see where I work now?" Mother asked. "I'm helping other kids like you." "Can I see the heart machine again?" We showed her the equipment, Mother explaining each piece with newfound knowledge. When Raylan's own heartbeat filled the room, strong and steady, Mother squeezed my hand. "Thank you," she whispered, "for not giving up on either of us." Later that night, after Raylan was asleep, I found a letter in my bag. "Dear Jillian, today wasn't an ending. It was a beginning. Every day, I'll work to earn back what I destroyed. Not just money or trust, but our family's heart. When you turned my shame into healing for others, you taught me what real strength looks like. I'm learning from you now, daughter, and I'm so proud of the mother you've become. All my love and all my gratitude, Mom," I texted her, one day at a time. Her reply came quickly. "That's all I ask. See you at the clinic tomorrow?" "Yes," I wrote back. "We have 6 new patients. I'll bring coffee. And Jillian, thank you for showing me how to break the cycle." I looked in on Raylan, sleeping peacefully with Mr. Whiskers. Her heart monitor blinked steadily on the nightstand, a reminder of both our challenges and our strength. Tomorrow we'd help more families at the clinic. Tomorrow Mother would continue earning back trust. Tomorrow Raylan would see her grandmother choosing recovery over chaos. But tonight I simply listened to my daughter's heartbeat and felt my own heart healing, one steady beat at a time. Sometimes the greatest victory isn't in winning the battle, but in transforming it into something that helps others win theirs. That's what real healing looks like. That's what breaking the cycle means. That's what love can do when we're brave enough to let it.
The security guard barely glanced at my fake cleaning service badge as I slipped into my father's funeral. Dark glasses and a borrowed maintenance uniform completed my disguise. A far cry from the tailored suits I usually wore as the newly appointed CEO of King Industries. My name is Quinn, and I wasn't supposed to be here today. "Did you hear?" A whisper caught my attention as I pretended to dust a nearby windowsill. Richard left everything to her. The youngest. Can you believe it? "Shh, Kiara will hear you." I kept my head down, moving methodically through the funeral home as mourners filed in. My Aunt Kiara stood at the entrance, her designer black dress a stark contrast to my gray coveralls. She greeted each guest with practiced sympathy, while my siblings Bryce and Tessa flanked her like well-trained soldiers. "The nerve of her," Bryce muttered to Tessa. "Not even showing up to Dad's funeral. If only they knew I'd received their official notification banning me from attending barely 12 hours ago." The message came through Ibrahim, our family lawyer, his voice dripping with false regret. "The family thinks it's best if you keep your distance during this difficult time." I continued my careful circuit around the room, dusting surfaces that didn't need dusting. The front row of chairs remained empty, reserved for immediate family. My chair should have been there, between Tessa and Presley. "You should be grateful he gave you anything at all." The voice behind me was barely a whisper, but I recognized Ibrahim immediately. He'd cornered me near the flower arrangements, speaking low enough that only I could hear. "Some might say you don't deserve even that much." I turned slowly, keeping my face downturned. Funny, coming from someone who helped my father build his empire from nothing. "Things change, Quinn. People change." He adjusted his tie, a nervous tell I'd noticed over years of board meetings. "Your father made a mistake. We're simply trying to correct it." By banning me from his funeral? By protecting the company's interests. He glanced around before continuing. "Walk away now. Take a generous settlement before things get complicated." I smiled, though he couldn't see it behind my mask. You should check your email more often, Ibrahim. His face paled slightly. What do you mean? Let's just say Dad left me more than just the company. I moved past him, deliberately bumping his shoulder. He left me the truth. The service began, and I watched from the back as my family took their seats. Tessa kept glancing at my empty chair, worry creasing her forehead. She'd always been the sensitive one, caught between loyalty to our older brother and her love for me. Bryce stood to deliver the eulogy, his voice carrying across the hushed room. Our father was a visionary, a man who built an empire from nothing. He understood the importance of tradition, of keeping business in the family. His eyes flickered to my empty seat. Though some of his final decisions may have been questionable, we will honor his memory by protecting his legacy. I gripped my dusting cloth tighter, knuckles white beneath the thin fabric. If they only knew what I'd discovered in Dad's private files, the offshore accounts, the falsified records, the years of systematic theft orchestrated by the very people now mourning him so convincingly. Benjamin, Dad's oldest friend and board member, caught my eye from his seat near the back. A slight nod confirmed what we'd discussed earlier. Everything was in place. Tomorrow's board meeting would change everything. As the service concluded, Sierra approached the casket one last time. "Oh, Richard," she said loudly enough for nearby mourners to hear. "I promise we'll take care of everything. The company will stay in the right hands." I waited until the room had nearly emptied before approaching the casket myself. Pulling off my dark glasses, I looked down at my father's peaceful face. "Don't worry, Dad," I whispered. "I won't let them destroy everything you built. They think they've won, but they don't know about the evidence yet. They don't know what's coming." "Miss?" The security guard's voice startled me. "We're closing up now," I nodded, replacing my glasses. As I turned to leave, I caught sight of Ibrahim watching me from the doorway, his phone pressed to his ear. Let him call whoever he wanted. By this time tomorrow, every secret, every lie, every betrayal would be exposed. The autumn air hit my face as I stepped outside, and I finally allowed myself a small smile. They thought banning me from Dad's funeral would break me. Instead, it had only strengthened my resolve. I had the evidence, I had the truth, and most importantly, I had nothing left to lose. Tomorrow, they would learn exactly why Dad had chosen me to lead his company. Tomorrow, they would understand that their biggest mistake wasn't just betraying him, it was underestimating me. The security code to Dad's private office hadn't changed. 0913. My birthday. My heels clicked against the marble floor as I entered, the familiar scent of leather and sandalwood washing over me. Even at midnight, the city lights streaming through floor-to-ceiling windows illuminated the space perfectly. "You shouldn't be here." Benjamin's voice crackled through my earpiece. "If anyone catches you—" "They won't," I interrupted, making my way to Dad's desk. "Besides, the board meeting's in 8 hours. We need what's in that safe." I ran my fingers along the bottom drawer's edge, finding the hidden latch just where Dad had shown me years ago. The panel popped open, revealing a keypad and fingerprint scanner. "Your father was nothing if not thorough," Benjamin commented. He knew they'd try something like this. I pressed my thumb to the scanner, holding my breath. A soft click, and the safe door swung open. Inside, I found exactly what Dad promised would be waiting: a leather-bound ledger and a USB drive. But something else caught my eye. A sealed envelope with my name written in Dad's distinctive scrawl. My phone buzzed. Tessa's name flashed across the screen. "Quinn?" Her voice trembled. "Are you really going through with tomorrow?" "You know I am." I tucked the ledger and drive into my bag. "You could still stand with me, Tess. Bryce says he has proof Dad wasn't mentally competent when he changed the will. He's going to present it at the meeting." I laughed softly. "Let me guess. Ibrahim helped him get it?" "Quinn, please." She paused. "Just take the settlement they're offering. The company isn't worth losing your family over." They stopped being family the moment they banned me from Dad's funeral. I opened the envelope, pulling out a single sheet of paper. "I have to go." "Wait." I ended the call, focusing on Dad's letter. As I read, my hands began to shake. My dearest Quinn, if you're reading this, they've already moved against you. The ledger contains everything, every transaction, every secret account. But the real proof is in the encrypted files on the drive. The password is Phoenix Rising, your childhood nickname. Be careful who you trust, even Ibrahim. The office door clicked. I shoved the letter into my bag and ducked behind a filing cabinet just as voices filled the room. Search everything, Shara commanded. That little brat must have found something, or she wouldn't be so confident about tomorrow's meeting. The safe, Bryce's voice. We need to check the safe. I held my breath as footsteps approached the desk. The hidden panel clicked open. It's empty, Bryce growled. She's already been here. Impossible, Ibrahim cut in. The security logs show no entry tonight. I smiled, grateful for Benjamin's help in looping the security footage. Then where is it? Kiara's voice rose. Where's the evidence she keeps threatening us with? Maybe there isn't any, Presley suggested. Maybe she's bluffing. No, Ibrahim said quietly. Richard was too smart. He would have left something. Then find it, Ciara snapped. We've worked too hard, planned too carefully to let that girl ruin everything. Do you know how many years we spent building those offshore accounts? How many strings I had to pull to keep the auditors away? My phone chose that moment to vibrate loudly against the filing cabinet. The room fell silent. What was that? Bryce demanded. I didn't wait. Clutching my bag, I burst from my hiding spot and ran for the door. Bryce lunged for me, but I was faster. My elbow connected with his solar plexus, sending him stumbling backward. Stop her, Kiara screamed. I sprinted down the hallway toward the emergency stairs, their footsteps thundering behind me. Pushing through the stairwell door, I took the steps 2 at a time, my heart pounding in sync with my feet. Quinn, Ibrahim's voice echoed above me. Think about what you're doing. 3 floors down, I crashed through the exit into the parking garage. Benjamin's car idled exactly where we'd planned, engine running. Go. I jumped into the passenger seat as shouts echoed across the garage. Benjamin floored it, tires squealing as we shot toward the exit. In the rearview mirror, I watched Bryce and Ibrahim grow smaller, their figures illuminated by harsh fluorescent lights. Ciara's words rang in my ears. We've worked too hard. Did you get everything? Benjamin asked once we were safely away. I patted my bag, feeling the hard edges of the ledger and drive. Everything and more. They were there, Benjamin. I heard them admit to all of it. The offshore accounts, the covered-up audits, everything. Good. He glanced at me. Are you ready for tomorrow? I pulled out my phone, quickly typing out a message to Tessa. You wanted proof our family isn't what it seems? Come to my office at 7 a.m., bring a recorder. I'm ready, I said, watching the city lights blur past. It's time they learned what happens when you underestimate the Phoenix. 7 a.m. sharp, just like I asked. I looked up from Dad's ledger as Tessa slipped into my office, her designer heels silent on the plush carpet. Did you bring the recorder? She pulled a small device from her purse, placing it on my desk with trembling fingers. Quinn, what's going on? Bryce came home last night looking like he'd seen a ghost. Listen. I pressed play on my phone, and Ciara's voice filled the room. Do you know how many years we spent building those offshore accounts? How many strings I had to pull to keep the auditors away? Tessa sank into the chair across from me, her face draining of color. How did you get this? Last night. They were looking for these. I pushed the ledger and USB drive across the desk. Dad left them for me. Every transaction, every secret account, it's all here. Ms. King? My assistant's voice crackled through the intercom. Mr. Ibrahim is here to see you. Perfect timing. I straightened my blazer. Send him in. Ibrahim strode in, his usual confidence faltering slightly when he saw Tessa. This is a private matter. Stay, I told Tessa, who had half risen from her chair. You'll want to hear this. Ibrahim's jaw tightened. Quinn, be reasonable. The board meeting is in an hour. Take the settlement offer. $20 million, no questions asked. Walk away from this. Like you walked away from Dad? I opened the ledger. Tell me, Ibrahim, does the board know about the shell company in Grand Cayman? The one you and Ciara used to funnel nearly $40 million over the past 3 years? His face remained impassive, but a bead of sweat traced down his temple. Those are serious accusations. They're not accusations. I turned the ledger around. They're facts. Dad kept meticulous records. He knew what you were doing. All of you. Quinn, Tessa whispered. Is this true? Before Ibrahim could respond, the door burst open. Presley rushed in, his usually perfect hair disheveled. Quinn, stop this. Please. Why? I stood slowly. Because you're involved too? Because Aunt Kiara promised you a piece of the pie if you helped them push me out? You don't understand. Presley ran a hand through his hair. She has dirt on everyone. She's been planning this for years, gathering information, waiting for the right moment. Ibrahim shot him a warning look. Presley, that's enough. No. Presley's voice cracked. I'm done lying. Quinn, Ciara, she's the one who convinced your father to change his medication dosage. She said it would help him sleep, but... Shut up. Ibrahim grabbed Presley's arm. My blood ran cold. What did you just say? Tessa's recorder clicked softly in the silence. The board meeting starts in 45 minutes, Ibrahim said quietly. Think carefully about your next move, Quinn. Some doors can't be unopened. Get out. My voice was steel. Both of you. After they left, Tessa played back the recording, her hands shaking. Quinn, if what Presley said is true, about Dad's medication... I know. I checked my watch. The question is, whose side are you on? She stood, smoothing her skirt. Bryce, he doesn't know about any of this. He really believes Dad wasn't thinking clearly when he changed the will, and now you know why he thought that. I gathered the evidence into my briefcase. Are you with me? Tessa's phone buzzed. A text from Kiara. She showed me the screen. Make sure she takes the deal. Remember what we discussed. What did you discuss? I asked quietly. She promised to fund my fashion line. Tessa's voice was barely audible. Said she'd invest $5 million if I helped convince you to step down. I laughed, but there was no humor in it. At least now we know your price. Quinn, the board meeting starts in 30 minutes. I headed for the door. Make your choice, Tessa. But remember, once I walk into that room, there's no going back. Wait. She grabbed my arm. There's something else you need to know. Bryce, he found Dad's original will. The one from before. He's planning to present it at the meeting. Let him. I pulled away. The only thing that will prove is how desperate they've become. As I walked toward the boardroom, Benjamin fell into step beside me. Everything ready? Almost. I handed him a USB drive, a copy of Dad's files. If anything happens to me in there, it won't. He pocketed the drive. But I'll be ready. We reached the boardroom doors. Through the glass, I could see them all. Ciara at the head of the table, Ibrahim whispering in her ear, Bryce clutching a folder I assumed contained the old will. Presley sat alone at the far end, staring at his hands. Ready? Benjamin asked. I thought of Dad's letter. Be careful who you trust. But he'd also called me Phoenix Rising, named for my ability to emerge stronger from every setback. Ready. I pushed open the doors, stepping into the lion's den with my head held high. Let them bring their forged wills and empty threats. I had the truth. And the truth was about to set this whole house of cards on fire. The boardroom fell silent as I took my seat at the table. 12 pairs of eyes watched my every move. Board members who'd known me since childhood, now sizing me up like vultures circling prey. Before we begin, Ciara stood, smoothing her silk blouse. I believe Bryce has something to present. Actually, I cut in, I'd like to start with a story. I connected my laptop to the projector. A story about family, trust, and $40 million in missing company funds. Ibrahim's pen clattered to the floor. Miss King, there are proper channels. Like the channels you use to funnel money through shell companies? I clicked to the first slide, a detailed transaction history. Or perhaps we should discuss the creative accounting that kept these transfers hidden from our auditors? These accusations are ridiculous, Chiara snapped, but her face had lost its color. The boardroom door opened and Tessa slipped in, taking the empty seat beside me. Chiara's eyes narrowed at the recorder in her hand. Bryce, I turned to my brother. You wanted to present something? The original will, perhaps? He straightened, pulling documents from his folder. Yes, a will that proves Dad wasn't in his right mind when he what? I interrupted. When he discovered that his own sister was slowly poisoning him with altered medication? The room erupted in gasps and murmurs. Bryce's papers slipped from his fingers, scattering across the table. That's absurd. Chiara stood so quickly her chair toppled backward. You can't prove... I pressed play on my phone. Presley's recorded voice filled the room. Chiara's the one who convinced your father to change his medication dosage. Presley, Ibrahim warned, but the damage was done. Oh, I have more. I clicked through slides of bank statements, offshore accounts, and damning emails. 5 years of systematic theft, all orchestrated by the people who claimed to love Dad most. You ungrateful little... Chiara lunged forward, but Benjamin blocked her path. Ms. King, one of the senior board members spoke up. These are serious allegations. Do you have concrete proof? I placed Dad's ledger on the table. Every transaction, every account, every conspiracy, documented in Dad's own handwriting. He knew what they were doing. He was gathering evidence before they... I swallowed hard. Before they killed him. This is outrageous. Ibrahim stood. You can't possibly believe... Sit down, Ibrahim. Tessa's voice cut through the chaos. She placed her recorder on the table. I think the board should hear what you said in Quinn's office this morning. Bryce looked between us, confusion etched on his face. Tessa, what are you doing? The right thing, finally. She pressed play, and Ibrahim's threatening voice filled the room. The board members exchanged glances. One reached for his phone, presumably to call security or the police. Wait. Presley stood, his voice shaking. There's more. I helped them. Ciara promised me shares in the company if I... He couldn't finish. If you helped them kill our father? I supplied, my voice ice cold. No. He looked desperate. I didn't know about the medication. I just helped with the accounts. Please, I can prove it. I kept records of everything. Ciara laughed, a sharp, dangerous sound. You really think you've won, don't you, Quinn? That Daddy's little girl has outsmarted us all? She pulled an envelope from her bag. But you forgot one thing. I know about Tokyo. My heart stopped. You're bluffing. Am I? She slid the envelope across the table. 3 years ago, you made a mistake. A big one. One that could ruin not just you, but this entire company. I stared at the envelope, my throat dry. The Tokyo incident had been buried, or so I thought. Take the deal, Quinn. Chiara smiled. Walk away with your $20 million. Or I release these documents and everything, including Dad's precious legacy, burns. The room held its breath. I could feel Tessa's questioning gaze, see Bryce's confused expression. Even Benjamin looked uncertain. Slowly, I reached for the envelope. That's right, Chiara purred. Be smart, like your father never was. I opened the envelope, pulled out the contents, and smiled. These are fake. What? Chiara's smile faltered. I said, these are fake. I held up the documents. Because I'm the one who handled the Tokyo incident. These documents are printed on paper we didn't start using until last year. Amateur mistake, really. The color drained from Ciara's face as I stood. You know what your biggest mistake was? I looked around the table, thinking I was just Daddy's little girl. But Dad didn't choose me because I was his favorite. He chose me because I was the only one smart enough to see through all of you. Security guards appeared at the doorway, summoned by the board member's earlier call. "Mr. Ibrahim," one of them said, "please come with us. The police would like to ask you some questions." As they led Ibrahim and Shiara away, I caught Bryce's eye. "The original will you were going to show?" Dad's signature was forged. Check the date. He was in the hospital that day. I have proof of that too. The board members huddled together, whispering urgently. But I already knew I'd won. Dad had taught me well. In business, like in chess, you don't just play the game, you play the players. "The police want to interview you again." Benjamin handed me a coffee as I stared out my office window at the city below. 3 days had passed since the board meeting, and the fallout was still spreading like ripples in a pond. "Let them wait." I turned as Tessa entered, her eyes red-rimmed. "How's Bryce?" "They're holding him for questioning." She collapsed onto the leather sofa. "He keeps saying he didn't know about Dad's medication, about any of it." "Do you believe him?" "I don't know what to believe anymore." She pulled out her phone, showing me the headlines. "King Industries Scandal, Family Empire Rocked by Fraud Allegations." A knock interrupted us. Presley stood in the doorway, looking like he hadn't slept in days. "They're releasing Ciara on bail." "Already?" Benjamin straightened. "That's not possible." "She has connections." Presley stepped inside, closing the door. "And she's angry, Quinn. I just got this." He held up his phone, displaying a text. "Tell my dear niece to watch her back. The game isn't over." I laughed softly. She still thinks this is a game. "Quinn?" Tessa's voice was urgent. "What if she really does have something on you? The Tokyo incident is handled." I opened my desk drawer, pulling out a thick file. Everything that happened in Tokyo is in here. Every decision, every document, every signature, all legitimate. I kept it clean specifically because I knew someone might try to use it against me someday. But then why did she? Because she was desperate. I sat behind my desk. And desperate people make mistakes. My phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. "Meeting. Tonight. The cemetery. Come alone or the real Tokyo files go public." "She's bluffing," Benjamin said, reading over my shoulder. "Probably." I stood gathering my coat. "But I'm done hiding." "Quinn, no." Tessa grabbed my arm. "It's too dangerous. Let the police handle it." "The police can't protect the company's reputation." I checked my watch. "Besides, I have a few surprises left." "Then I'm coming with you." Presley stepped forward. "I owe you that much." "No." I touched his shoulder. "You've done enough by testifying. Stay here with Tessa. Benjamin, I need you to get those documents to the DA's office." "Quinn?" Benjamin started. "Trust me." I smiled. Dad didn't call me Phoenix Rising for nothing. The cemetery was silent as I walked between the graves, my heels sinking slightly into the damp earth. Dad's fresh headstone gleamed in the moonlight, and beside it stood Shara, looking perfectly composed despite her recent jail stay. "I didn't think you'd come alone," she called out. "Disappointed?" "Impressed, actually." She pulled out an envelope. "Maybe you're not as soft as I thought. The Tokyo files are fake, Ciara. We both know that. Do we?" She smiled. "Did you really think your father only kept records in that little ledger of his? That he didn't have other hiding places? Other secrets?" A twig snapped behind me. I turned to see Ibrahim emerging from the shadows, looking considerably less polished than usual. "You're making a mistake," he said quietly. "Both of you." "The only mistake," a new voice rang out, "was thinking you could get away with this." Bryce stepped into view, followed by 2 police officers. My brother's face was haggard, but his eyes were clear. "What is this?" Ciara demanded. "Justice." Bryce moved to stand beside me. "They showed me everything, Aunt Ciara. The real records, the medication logs, the security footage from Dad's house the night he died." "You're choosing her?" Ciara spat. "After everything I did for you? You mean after you manipulated me?" Bryce's voice cracked. "Used me to try to steal my sister's inheritance?" Made me think Dad had lost his mind? Ibrahim moved suddenly, reaching into his jacket. The police officers drew their weapons, but he only pulled out a USB drive. "It's over," he said, tossing it to me. "Everything's on there. Dates, accounts, recordings. Ciara's original plans, all of it." "Ibrahim," Kiara shrieked. "You traitor." "No." He looked at her sadly. "I'm just tired of the lies." As the officers moved in with handcuffs, I picked up the envelope Ciara had dropped. Inside were photos, not from Tokyo, but of Dad in his final days, looking frail and confused. She'd been documenting the effects of the tampered medication. "Quinn?" Bryce touched my shoulder. "I'm sorry, I should have seen it sooner." "We all should have." I watched as the police led Ciara and Ibrahim away. But Dad knew. That's why he left everything to me. He knew I'd find the truth. "What happens now?" I looked at Dad's headstone, remembering his words. "A phoenix always rises from the ashes, stronger than before." "Now?" I turned to my brother. "Now we rebuild. Together." The cemetery fell quiet again, but this time the silence felt different. Like peace. Like justice. Like a new beginning. "The board is getting restless." Benjamin dropped a stack of newspapers on my desk. Each headline screamed about the King Industries scandal, our stock price, the pending criminal charges. "Let them squirm." I clicked through my emails, pausing at one from the district attorney. "Ciara's refusing to cooperate. Says she'll only speak to me." "Don't even think about it," Tessa called from the doorway. She entered, followed by Bryce and Presley. "She's trying to manipulate you again." "Maybe." I stood, straightening my blazer. "But I want to hear what she has to say." "Quinn," Bryce stepped forward, "you don't owe her anything. This isn't about owing." I gathered my things. "It's about ending this, once and for all." The detention center's visiting room was cold and sterile. Kiara sat across the table, her designer outfit replaced by a standard-issue jumpsuit. Still, she managed to look elegant, her spine straight as steel. "I knew you'd come." She smiled. "Always the dutiful niece." "Save it." I placed Dad's ledger on the table. "You wanted to talk, so talk." "Did you ever wonder why your father chose you?" She leaned forward. "Not Bryce, not Tessa. You." "Because I wasn't corrupt?" She laughed, a hollow sound. "Because you're exactly like him. Ruthless, calculating, willing to sacrifice anything for power." "I'm nothing like you." "No?" She raised an eyebrow. "Then why did you really go to Tokyo 3 years ago?" "The truth, Quinn. Not the sanitized version in your precious files." My blood ran cold. "How do you know about the real deal?" She smirked. "Your father told me, right before I started adjusting his medication." The door burst open. Bryce stormed in, followed by security guards. "That's enough." "Oh, look." Ciara's eyes gleamed. "The prodigal son returns. Did you tell him, Quinn? About what really happened in Tokyo?" "Shut up," I snapped. "She went to close a deal," Bryce said. "Everyone knows that." "She went to bury one." Ciara's voice dripped venom. "A deal that would have bankrupted us if it had gone public. Your perfect sister covered up a massive fraud to save the company, just like Daddy taught her." The guards moved to remove her, but Bryce held up his hand. "Is it true?" I met his gaze. "The company was going to fall. Dad was already sick. I did what I had to do." "By breaking the law?" "By protecting our legacy." I stood so quickly my chair toppled. "Everything I did for this family." "Just like me." Ciara smiled. "We're not so different after all." "The difference," I leaned across the table, "is that I never killed anyone." Her smile faltered. "Neither did I. Your father's death was unfortunate, but necessary." "Get her out of here," Bryce told the guards. As they led Kiara away, she called over her shoulder. "Ask her about the missing files, Bryce. Ask her what else she's hiding. In the hallway, Bryce grabbed my arm. Tell me she's lying. About Tokyo? No. I pulled away. But everything I did was legal. Barely, but legal. And the missing files she mentioned? Don't exist. I started walking. She's trying to drive a wedge between us. Again. Quinn. His voice stopped me. I need to know. Everything Dad taught you? Everything you learned? Are you really any different from them? Before I could answer, my phone rang. Benjamin's voice was urgent. The board called an emergency meeting. They're voting to remove you as CEO. What? They can't. They can if they have proof of misconduct. Someone sent them files about Tokyo. My heart stopped. When? Meeting starts in 30 minutes. I looked at Bryce, whose face had hardened. Did you know about this? The board approached me this morning. He wouldn't meet my eyes. They want me to take over. And you're considering it. You lied to me, Quinn. About Tokyo, about everything. I protected our company. My voice echoed in the empty hallway. Everything I did, every secret I kept, was to save what Dad built. And that makes it right? Security cameras watched us from every corner. In one of them, I caught my reflection. Power suit, perfect hair, Dad's determined expression mirrored on my face. Maybe Kiara was right. Maybe I was more like them than I wanted to admit. The board meeting starts in 20 minutes, Bryce said quietly. If you can't prove everything you did was legal, they'll vote you out. And this time I won't stop them. He walked away, leaving me alone in the hallway. My phone buzzed again, Benjamin asking what to do. But I was already moving, my mind racing through possibilities. Dad had taught me more than just business. He'd taught me survival. The phoenix rises from ashes, but first it has to burn. I pulled out my phone, dialing a number I'd hoped never to use. It's me, I said when the line connected. Remember that favor you owe me from Tokyo? I need it now. The game wasn't over. It was just beginning. The boardroom doors swung open with a bang. Every head turned as I strode in, 5 minutes before the vote. Ladies and gentlemen, I placed a thick folder on the table. I believe you have some concerns about Tokyo. Ms. King, the lead director frowned. We received evidence of serious misconduct. Fabricated evidence. I began distributing documents. Here's what really happened in Tokyo. Every transaction, every decision, verified by independent auditors and signed off by regulatory authorities. But the files we received, another director started, were sent by my Aunt Ciara from prison. I clicked on the projector. Here's the surveillance footage of her associate sending those files. And here, I placed a USB drive on the table, is proof that those documents were created last week using forged timestamps. Bryce picked up one of the reports, his eyes widening. These signatures, they're from the Japanese Financial Services Agency, because everything we did was legal. I met each board member's gaze. Difficult, yes. Complicated, absolutely. But legal. Then why hide it? Bryce demanded. Because sometimes protecting a company means keeping certain details private. I pulled out my phone, playing a recording. As Dad explained here, Dad's voice filled the room. The Tokyo situation is delicate. Quinn handled it perfectly. Saved the company without breaking a single law. That's why she'll take over when I'm gone. She understands that leadership isn't just about following rules. It's about knowing which rules matter most. The board members exchanged glances. Bryce's face was unreadable. There's more. I nodded to Benjamin, who opened the door. A distinguished Japanese businessman entered, bowing slightly. Mr. Tanaka. I smiled. Thank you for coming on such short notice. Ms. King. He addressed the board. 3 years ago, your company faced a crisis in Tokyo. Ms. King's actions not only saved both our companies, but strengthened the relationship between them. Everything she did was honorable and legal. And the missing files Kiara mentioned? Bryce asked. Don't exist. Tanaka handed him a document. This is the complete record, certified by our legal team. There are no missing files because there was nothing to hide. The lead director cleared his throat. Ms. King, while this explains Tokyo, there's still the matter of recent events. Your family's criminal activities? Which I exposed. I interrupted. Every illegal transaction, every manipulated record, every conspiracy. I brought it all to light. Yes, my methods were unconventional. Yes, I kept certain things quiet until the right moment. But everything I did was to protect this company and honor my father's legacy. By deceiving your own brother? Bryce stood. By letting us think. By doing what needed to be done. I slammed my hand on the table. You want to know why Dad chose me? Because I understand that sometimes protecting what matters means making impossible choices. The room fell silent. Outside, the city stretched endlessly, just as it had the night I'd found Dad's ledger. The vote, the lead director finally said, was called to determine your fitness to lead this company. Given this new evidence, I have one more thing to add. I pulled out a final document. Dad's last letter to the board, written the day before he died. Benjamin? Benjamin stepped forward. I witnessed him write this. He knew what was coming. I began to read. To my board of directors, if you're reading this, 2 things have happened. First, I'm dead, likely not from natural causes. Second, Quinn has uncovered the truth about my murder and the conspiracy within our company. She's done exactly what I knew she would. Protected our legacy while bringing justice to those who betrayed us. This is why I chose her. Not because she's my daughter, but because she has something the others don't. The wisdom to know when to fight in the light and when to work in shadows. The strength to make impossible choices. The courage to stand alone. My voice cracked on the last words. Bryce's face had softened, understanding finally dawning in his eyes. I moved to cancel the vote. The lead director said quietly, All in favor? Hands raised around the table, even Bryce's. Quinn, he said as the board members filed out. I'm sorry. I should have trusted you. No. I gathered my documents. You should have questioned me. That's what Dad taught us. Trust, but verify. I just verified better than anyone expected. What happens now? Now? I looked at the city beyond the windows, at the empire Dad had built and entrusted to me. Now we rebuild. The right way this time. No more secrets, no more shadows. Together? He held out his hand. I took it, remembering Dad's words about impossible choices. Sometimes the hardest choice is knowing when to stand alone, and when to let others stand with you. Together, I agreed. But first, there's one more thing we need to do. What's that? I smiled, thinking of Kiara in her prison cell, still believing she had leverage over me. We need to show everyone what happens when you underestimate a phoenix. The sun was rising over the city, painting the sky in shades of fire. It was time for a new day, a new chapter, and this time we'd write it in the light. Guilty on all counts. The judge's gavel echoed through the courtroom. I watched Kiara's shoulders stiffen as the verdict was read. Murder, conspiracy, fraud. The list went on. She turned to face me before they led her away, her eyes burning with the same intensity I'd seen at Dad's funeral. You think this is over? No. I stood, straightening my jacket. This is just justice. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed. Bryce appeared at my side, shielding me from the cameras as we made our way to the waiting car. Ms. King, how does it feel to see your aunt convicted? Any comment on the company's future? What about the rumors of a family reconciliation? I paused at the car door. King Industries isn't just about family anymore. It's about integrity, transparency, and doing what's right. That's my father's true legacy. The drive back to the office was quiet. Bryce scrolled through messages on his phone. Stock's up 12% since the verdict. People love a good redemption story. I smiled. How's Tessa doing with her fashion line launch? Better than expected. Turns out having the King Industries backing means more than Ciara's empty promises. The elevator opened directly into the executive floor, where Benjamin waited with Presley. Their faces told me something was wrong. What happened? Ibrahim. Benjamin handed me his tablet. He's talking to reporters, says he has proof you knew about the Tokyo cover-up long before you claimed. Let him talk. I walked into my office, Dad's old office. Everything's documented, remember? It's not that simple, Presley said. He's claiming there's video evidence from the night Dad died. My hand froze over Dad's old desk. That's impossible. Unless... Bryce stepped forward. Unless someone was recording that night. I met his eyes. You know what happened that night. I told you everything. Did you? He pulled out his phone, playing a video. On the screen, I saw myself entering Dad's hospital room the night he died. The timestamp showed 11:47 p.m. Where did you get this? It was in Dad's personal files, the ones you didn't know about. Bryce's voice was gentle. You were there the night he died, Quinn. Why didn't you tell us? I sank into Dad's chair, the weight of that night crushing down again. Because he asked me not to. The room fell silent. I pulled out my own phone, accessing a protected folder. Here's what really happened that night. The video played. Dad in his hospital bed, looking frail but clear-eyed. His voice was weak but determined. Quinn, listen carefully. Ciara's been poisoning me. Slowly, carefully. I have proof, but I can't move against her yet. You need to wait. Let them think they've won, then expose everything. Dad, we should call the police. No? The company wouldn't survive the immediate scandal. You need to be smart about this. Strategic. He coughed. Promise me you'll protect our legacy. The right way. I promise. The video ended. Bryce's face had gone pale. You knew. All this time, you knew how he died. And I did exactly what he asked. I stood. I waited. I gathered evidence. I protected the company while building an airtight case against them. Why show us this now? Presley asked. Because it's finally over. Really over. I walked to the window, looking out at the city Dad had conquered. Ibrahim can release whatever he wants. The truth is already out there. Ms. King? My assistant's voice came through the intercom. The new board members are here for orientation. Send them in. I turned to face my family, what was left of it. Ready to show them how we do things now? Bryce nodded, a smile tugging at his lips. The right way. The new board members filed in. Young, ambitious, ethical professionals Dad would have approved of. As I began my presentation, my phone buzzed with a message from Tessa. Just visited Ciara. She's finally talking about everything. Healing starts now. I looked around the room, at Bryce taking notes, at Benjamin's proud smile, at Presley's determined face. Dad's words echoed in my mind. Protect our legacy. The right way. The phoenix hadn't just risen from the ashes. It had built something new. Something stronger. Not an empire built on secrets and lies, but a legacy founded on truth and justice. Welcome to the new King Industries. I addressed the board. Let me tell you about our future. Outside, the city stretched endless and bright, full of possibilities. Dad had taught me how to fight in shadows, but I'd learned something he never could. How to win in the light. The truth hadn't just set us free. It had made us stronger than we'd ever been in darkness. And that was the greatest legacy of all. Now, I smiled at my family, my team, my future. Let's begin. The sun streamed through the windows, and for the first time since Dad's funeral, I felt truly worthy of the name he'd given me. Phoenix Rising. Not because I'd burned everything down, but because I'd built something better from the ashes. That was the real victory. That was the true revenge.